APRs in the 4s and 15-year loans with APRs that start with 3. Hey, it's Willy Donick. Don't be confused by the media's hype about interest rates. At Loan Pronto, their rates have plummeted recently, and they're currently refinancing homeowners who locked in a 5 or 6% rate. So if you've got a rate over 5%, or if your lender has you pre-approved or locked in at anything 5% or higher, you need to call Loan Pronto now. Not all lender rates are created equal. Loan Pronto's rates are down big time, and you need to take advantage, whether you are buying, refinancing, getting cash out, or even if you just closed a few weeks ago. Call Loan Pronto today, and you could save tens of thousands of dollars. Loan Pronto can help keep more money in your pocket. Loan Pronto, 615-499-5780. That's 615-499-5780 or loanpronto.com. Equal housing lender, NMLS 166-1781, subject to lender approval.
Jared Stillman.
This is a team that the entire city is losing their minds over.
Caroline Fenton.
It's one of the youngest teams in the league. They don't have a single player over the age of 30.
Stillman and Company. Afternoons from 2 to 6.
Presented by TriStar Moving.
On Nashville's best sports talk.
ESPN.
102.5 and 106.3 The Game. And on the Game Nashville app. This is Chase, Willy, and D-Mase on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and on the Game Nashville app.
Chase, Willy, and D-Mase, 102.5, 106.3 The Game. Chase McCabe, Willy Donick here with you, broadcasting live at the Hillside Medical Game Studios. You can weigh in on our phone or text line, driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com, 615-737-1025. The AFC South narrative, the Ringer podcast that we just played, they are not a believer in the Tennessee Titans, don't even have them making the playoffs. The narrative that I don't buy is that the Titans won't make the playoffs and they're not going to be very good. I think this is a good football team. The narrative that I'm starting to buy, though, is maybe the AFC South is going to be a little bit better as a whole than people thought. And that includes the Jags. Maybe not so much the Texans, but I think the Jags could be better in that fringe. Maybe we get to November, December, and people start going, oh, maybe they make the playoffs, and then they ultimately don't. Mm-hmm. But I do buy the Trevor Lawrence narrative. Now that he's with the right coach and he's out of that mess that he was in his rookie year with Urban Meyer, I think Doug Peterson is a heck of a quarterback whisperer and is going to help him develop.
They can't be any worse. They're going to be quite a bit better.
I'd see like maybe 6, 7, 8 wins somewhere in there.
Oh, I think that's very realistic. But the reason that a lot of people think that is because they think the division is weak. Today's example is the Ringer. I use the MMQB. Now I made a new website, the MMMQB. That doesn't exist yet. But
Joe Dubin made the Unathletic, so that's
the Unathletic. But we could go right down the list. This is everybody picking this way. Most people don't think the Colts are that great. That's the other part of this that really stuns me, is that everybody's picking the Colts, but nobody thinks the Colts are going to be in the Super Bowl picture. Nobody thinks they're great shakes, but they all think they're better than the Titans. And they think that the Jaguars will make a jump. And the sexy pick, or the guys on the panel were saying, hey, the Jaguars might finish ahead of the Titans. They didn't think the Jaguars could finish ahead of the Colts. I just think that from afar, could everybody be wrong? And I think we've seen through the years that, yes, everybody can be wrong. They've been wrong on the Predators many times. We talked about a lot how satisfying it was for the Predators to have made the playoffs, even though it really stunk that they got whipped in the playoffs. The bottom line is it was an achievement last year for that team to make the playoffs based on the fact that nobody, and Joe Rexroad is going to raise his hand and say, wait a minute, not nobody. I know, Joe did pick the Predators to make the playoffs, but very, very few. The consensus was the same. Nobody thought the Predators were making the playoffs. Very few people
but I think
are picking the Titans. And it's a different deal with the Titans. We're talking about a team that's won the division the last 2 years. To go from that to nobody's picking you at all, and to me, this is juicy for Mike Vrabel. I'm all over this in that locker room. I'm all over it. I'm putting these things out. I played that clip. I'd put up boards of predictions.
Do you
And I'm
think
saying,
he
look
does
at
that?
I don't. I would.
I think he
I'd be
does.
all over that. Yes, I do.
I think if
I don't know if he does it, but I think somebody on his staff does it.
No, I think if somebody if I get on here and I say I think the Titans are going to be awful this year and Ryan Tannehill is going to lead the league in interceptions or whatever, I bet he's playing that. I would. I agree.
I'd be
I would
all
too.
over it. Now,
I don't believe. I'm not saying that.
To me,
but I'm just.
What's also interesting is it's not like he can use the local. I don't think the local media feels that way. I think all of us that have been watching are fairly optimistic. I think the fans, based on our question today, would you, if you could, do over the A.J. Brown trade? The vast majority are saying, no, I like how we're rolling here. So the chemistry seems good. The belief seems good locally, but nationally, way more cynical.
Yeah,
way more doubters.
because we're a much friendlier media market.
I don't think it was very friendly after the Bengals game.
No, which was, I mean, it shouldn't have been. Like it absolutely should not have been. So, but I think for the most part, and take New York, Philadelphia aside, we're pretty forgiving. And I think that the media, because it's a smaller media core, they get to know the coaches, they get to know the players on a much different level than you would in another market, in a bigger market. And so that certainly helps things. But I think it's fair. I think that after the playoff game, the media should have been hard on him. They should have been hard on Tannehill. I still disagree with him not really speaking until much later. So, but, that's all in the past now. But if I'm Vrabel, I'm with you. I'm taking some of these national clips, and I'm saying they don't believe in us. That's fine. Do you believe in you? Do you believe in the guy next to you? I believe in you. You use that. I mean, that's a coaching tool. To me, that's an easy coaching tool.
But my question is why, from the national media, do they feel that way? It's really interesting to me.
3 interceptions.
Yeah, but the Colts didn't even make the playoffs. The whole thing, the hard knocks on HBO, the embarrassing end of the season, and you're picking that team over the Titans?
They trust, I think
hands down.
I think they trust Matt Ryan more than they do Ryan Tannehill. I think if you polled the media and you go like position for position, for instance. All right, head coach, you're probably taking Vrabel. You're taking the Titans. You think Vrabel's a better head coach than Frank Reich. Quarterback, I would say the national media is probably taking Matt Ryan over Ryan Tannehill. Running back is interesting because I would say they're probably taking Taylor because he's younger, he doesn't have the wear and tear, and Henry's coming off the big injury.
No doubt.
And so that factors in. Receiver core. The
Colts have some earth-shaking receiving core?
No, that's why I'm asking the question. Whose receiving core are you taking?
And this goes to what I'm saying. Why does everybody
line
like the Colts?
Offensive line.
Colts have one major question mark,
Yep.
and that's the left tackle.
Yep.
Other than that, that's a strong offensive line.
Defensive line. Titans.
Even
though,
Colts are
good.
very good. I think the defense as a whole is about a wash.
Toss-up.
I think they both can be top 10 defenses. Both can be very good defenses.
Special teams.
Special teams
does matter.
I'm just trying to think of what we know about the Colts.
Well,
teams.
You got Hot Rod is their kicker.
You have kind of an unknown.
Randy here.
I think special teams every year. I don't think you know. Right? Your kicker,
all that factors.
I don't think we know enough about Randy Bullock every year to know he's going to be great this year. Same thing with the kid from Georgia.
Hot Rod, yeah, Rodrigo Blankenship.
He got hurt, and then they brought in Badgley. Remember? So
Yeah.
what's the deal with the kicker? Their punter just got hurt. The Titans have a rookie punter. So how do we know? Special teams, I'm putting in unknown.
Okay.
Fair?
Yeah, but I think it all goes back to the playoff loss and Derrick Henry.
Right, so it should be.
And it shows you that a lot of these people don't watch the Titans.
It should be 50-50 at best, predicting Colts-Titans. I would understand 50-50. I am amazed that virtually everyone that I'm seeing is Colts.
Dylan on our text line, driven by Wilson DowneyHyundai.com. Titans special teams just for Josh Kalu alone. LOL.
Okay.
He's a believer in Josh Kalu.
He makes big plays. You need those guys.
He does. But look, and at the end of the day, it doesn't matter how much you think you know. Nobody knows. Because any given season, you can have a team that's predicted to win it all, and they flame out. You can have a team that's predicted to be bad, a la the Bengals, and they go to the Super Bowl.
That is what we love about the NFL.
Yeah.
Is that is the case. And on this date, September 1st, and take it all the way through Labor Day weekend, you can talk yourself into almost anything. Either way, you can talk yourself into the Titans are going to shock everybody in the national media, and they're going to roll again. And you can also talk yourself into they could have a disastrous season. Guys get hurt. A lot of stuff doesn't work out. And the reality is, in the NFL, you're never that far. Most of the teams are never that far from one or the other.
Right. Coming up next, it is time. Silly underdog picks, the debut. We can't wait for it. I'm in it. D-Mase, Chris Sanders, Plaz, Kelly Holcomb, and the commissioner, Willy Donick. That is all coming up next. 102.5, 106.3, The Game.
You love the game.
The doors on the board. Right three, sounds well.
We live the game.
Going up against that defense.
He can make some plays and take that next step.
We got
pass rushers.
Checkered flag in the air.
Awesome game 7.
What a stop made by Houston Sarah.
The Game. Nashville's best sports talk. 102.5 and 106.3 The Game. And the Game Nashville app.
ElectronicExpress.com. We make it happen.
Bob's Steak and Chop House is a renowned award-winning steakhouse in major cities across the U.S. Nashville is lucky to have a location here in downtown at the Omni Nashville Hotel. Fine dining is brought to a new level at Bob's with awards like the Wine Spectator Award 4 years in a row, TripAdvisor Certificate of Excellence 5 years in a row, and Open Tables Diner's Choice Award 6 years in a row. Fine dining at its best. Bob's Steak and Chop House, open Wednesday through Saturday, 5 to 10 p.m. in the Omni Nashville Hotel. Complimentary valet parking is always available.
Folks, Joe Rexford here, inviting you to be ready for game day when college football kicks off this week. Right now, new customers get $150 in free bets guaranteed for week 1. Just place a $5 bet, you can get $150 in free bets, win or lose. You can go same game parlay, live betting, all kinds of odds boosts. You can go national championship futures. I know this week the big game, Tennessee, Ball State. I would go ahead and give those points and go with the Vols. I think they're going to roll and put up a lot of points in that game. If you've been thinking about joining FanDuel, now's the perfect time to give it a shot. See for yourself why it's America's #1 sportsbook. Download the app, sign up today with promo code Joe102. Place a $5 bet to get $150 in free bets guaranteed to kick off the football season. Again, the FanDuel Sportsbook app, promo code Joe102. You must be 21 or older and present in Tennessee. First online real money wager only. $10 first deposit required. Bonus issued is non-withdrawable free bets that expire 14 days after receipt. Restrictions apply. See terms at sportsbet.fanduel.com. Gambling problem? Call the Tennessee Red Line, 800-889-9789.
If you missed the latest from Stillman and Company, delivered by TriStar Moving.
TSU head coach, Titan all-time great Eddie George.
I think our kids are excited. I know they put in a lot of hard work in the off season, and we're just chopping at the bit to be competitive. So exciting time.
So, and the most important exciting element of this is that TSU's games with Eddie will now air on 94.9 The Fan starting September 3rd. That is at Eastern Washington this Saturday at 3 o'clock. And the Eddie George Show will debut after us next week at 6 right here on 102.5 The Game. I mean, Eddie, I hate to tell you have big shoes to fill at 6 o'clock, but, I mean, that's the reality of it. But we're really looking forward to it. You and Jonathan Hutton at 5th and Peabody. We're really looking forward to TSU football on 94.9 The Fan.
Yeah, we're really excited, too. It's a great partnership to have with you guys. It'll be covered, actually, through 3 of my former teammates, Brad Hopkins, Chris Sanders, also Keith Bullock.
Oh, no, not Chris Sanders. We can't. Oh, no. Oh, God.
So it's great, man. And also my show with Jonathan Hutton. I think I've developed such a great chemistry with Jonathan. And we want to talk about not just TSU football, but all things in sports, specifically the Titans, what we're doing on Sundays and everything in between that. Just really excited to merge my commentating career, with my coaching career, among everything else that I've done in my life. So, and hopefully, the people tune in at 6 o'clock on Mondays and listen in to what we have to say. It's going to be candid, fun, exciting, very transparent and honest. And I can't wait to delve into some of the topics that we'll be covering on Mondays.
Tune in Stillman and Company with Jared Stillman. Weekday afternoons from 2 to 6.
On ESPN.
102.5 The Game and the Game Nashville app. Robbie Stanley.
Sometimes the overthinking that takes place, pretty mind-boggling.
Joe Rexroad.
Thought there was an issue. There's not an issue. There's no issue. They're doing wonderful.
Wake up and hang out with Robbie and Rexroad every weekday morning from 6 to 10.
Taking care of business this early in the morning.
On Nashville's best sports talk.
ESPN.
102.5 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
I do not want to deprive people of a close-up of my face.
Watch live on YouTube, Twitch, and Periscope. From the Hillside Medical Game Studios, WPRT-FM Pegram, WPUC HD2 Laverne.
Robbie and Rexroad, Chase, Willy, and D-Mase.
Stillman and Company.
Nashville's best sports talk. 102.5 and 106.3.
Terang, it's a high fly ball.
We got pass rushes.
Awesome Game 7.
Checkered flag in the air.
The Game.
A Cromwell Media Station.
Now let's see if we can bring them to life, all right?
Bringing you entertainment and informative sports talk during your workday.
Smart, funny, classy, and I like him a lot.
This is Chase, Willy, and D-Mase with Chase McCabe, Willy Donick.
Mason, touchdown, Tennessee.
And former NFL wide receiver Derek Mason on Nashville's best sports talk, 102.5 and 106.3 The Game, and on the Game Nashville app.
This is a new level of geek you got going on here.
There's no need to fear. Underdog is here.
Feels so good to hear that music again. 12 o'clock hour, Chase, Willy, and D-Mase, 102.5, 106.3 The Game. Chase McCabe, Willy Donick, and Derek Mason joining us here in just a few minutes. I think he might be calling in right now. So we will try and get him on. But the panel has been assembled once again as we will review last year's competition. That should be interesting here in just a second. But first, we say hello to the Tennessee Radio Hall of Famer, the creator of this competition, the director, George Plaster. Hello, George.
Chase, what's going on?
Oh, we're just we're having fun here. Just keeping things going here on Silly Underdog Picks. But glad you can be a part of the competition you created once again.
Oh, I am thrilled to be a part of it. If I get involved in enough of these, I'm bound to be respectable in one of them.
I think so, because you're doing your own thing on Main Street Media.
Yes.
Well, okay. Well, I hope you win at least one of these. Not this one, though.
Let me ask you this, Chase. Who is your commissioner?
The commissioner is one William Donick.
Oh, Lord. You mean after all these years? I mean, the guy's a television play-by-play voice of a big league team, and he still hasn't gotten past that?
Nope.
And
he's
watching me.
Fame.
He's watching me fumble through last year's records and getting all of the bookkeeping straight here before we start the competition. And he's nodding his head. Yes, this guy has not gone any further.
Well, look, George, there's somebody that you know quite well that has been trying to get rid of him as commissioner for years. We say hello.
Oh my God.
To former MTSU quarterback, NFL quarterback Kelly Holcomb, who is on the line with us. Kelly, how's it going, my friend?
I'm good, man. I'm just glad to see that George is still alive, man. I've called the dude like several times, but he's big time now. He's got his own radio deal, and he's not calling anybody back. So, it is what it is, man. I'm sure he's still got these Knights of the Round Table shirt on, and he's still got food stains on his shirt as well. And then George, yeah, nothing's changed with Willie, man. I've been trying since you've been gone. I've been trying for years to get rid of him, but he's still the commissioner, and he still does a crappy job.
Well, Kelly, that may be true, but you've also been a cheater in this competition, and you should be ashamed.
He won't let it go.
I mean, you won't let it go. You're absolutely right. I mean, I didn't mean to. I did try to bend the rules, but I didn't mean to. I didn't know it knowingly. I was
I was at Baylor that day watching my daughter play basketball, so I was kind of out of the loop. And, I got crucified for it, but, hey, it is what it is.
You know what's ironic about that, though? The commissioner upheld your protest, Kelly, and you got those points ultimately, but still, we're starting off on the wrong foot of the commissioner should be fired.
I mean, that's an every year thing, though. I mean, you're never there. I mean, this will be the last time we'll see you for 4 weeks. So, you'll be off in like Ontario or somewhere. You'll be in Vancouver doing. I mean, it's just you're all over the place. So, like, why are you still hanging on? Like, let somebody else that's going to be there, that's responsible, that's going to be there every week.
There we go. It begins. We say hello.
Starting off on a great note.
To former forever Titans wide receiver Chris Sanders, who is back in the competition this year. Chris, the trash talking has begun. How you doing?
I'm doing good. All I'm going to say is I don't care about anybody else on the show. I am going to beat Kelly Holcomb. That's all I want to beat. That's it.
There you go. He's
That's
ready.
all I want to beat.
He has declared it. And then
Chris has had 2 years in the competition. He has a first-place finish, so he has a championship, and he also has a last-place finish.
Hey, George, how many leagues have you won?
I think in the 30 years, I think I've won it twice. I mean, it's not anything to brag about, but I will say this.
Yeah.
Willie, part of the reason you get in trouble is this whole attitude when you start, this is your commissioner speaking.
Exactly.
Who gives a damn?
And then we decided – go ahead, George.
Well, I mean, do you walk into the press room in Winnipeg and go, this is your commissioner speaking?
No,
absolutely.
It doesn't fly north of the border.
No, they just look at him funny. We decided to get another wide receiver, a veteran of the competition. Derek Mason, D-Mase, is here with us. D-Mase, are you back from Beantown yet?
No, I'm still here. Actually, I just returned the rental car. We're on the bus headed back to the airport.
Okay.
Need the covers.
Here, a bunch of commotion. That's what it is.
All right. Well, you are ready to go. Real quick, I want to get Derek's thoughts, and Chris, Kelly, you can weigh in on this too.
Yes.
Josh Gordon signing with the Titans practice squad. What do you think?
Steve, you want to go first?
Go ahead, Chris. I'm sorry.
I mean, I asked the question, why? I mean, you got those top guys. You got Woods, you got Burks, you got Kyle Phillips. Basically, what you're saying with those other practice squad guys, that they don't trust him yet. Because why would you go out and get a guy who really hasn't played? I'm not saying he's not a great player and he can't come in and help this Tennessee Titans, roster, but do we actually really need him because we got some other guys that can fill in that position?
Derek?
I guess it's sort of like the Julio Jones thing. You're hoping to get, production out of what the guy used to be. But, I mean, Josh Gordon was once a veteran superstar, but because of the things that he went through, I mean, if you get production out of him, it's a bonus. If you don't, then it's one of those, hey, listen, we tried, it didn't work, we move on. It's not costing Titans anything. So, hey, listen, it doesn't hurt to try to see if it works. That receiver room is thin in regards to experience, so they need to bring somebody in.
Well, Chase, let me ask you this. Do you think I know the Traylon Burks thing is kind of, a sticky situation, but do you think that they're thinking that Traylon Burks won't be healthy enough to actually stay in the lineup? Is that why do you think they signed Josh Gordon?
I think it's more that Racey McMath going to IR, and they think that Josh can still be the burner that they need, that he's still got something left in the tank that he can get you a few big catches here and there. His average yards per catch is about 17, so I think that's kind of what they're looking at.
Well, they have nobody to stretch the field now that Racey will be out for a month, so they potentially need that down the field threat. But again, he's on practice squad, so how long is it going to take him to get up to speed in his offense? If it takes him 3 or 4 weeks, then it makes no sense to me.
All right. With that, we have the panel here. It is now time to turn things over to the commissioner.
A good commissioner has a notable theme song that when it's played around town, everybody recognizes it. They know when they hear this song exactly who's in town and who's in charge of this competition. This is your commissioner speaking, Willy Donick, for another season of Silly Underdog Picks. The year is 2022. It is crazy to think the first time that I deemed myself the commissioner was 1994. This competition goes that far back, and here we are with some new competitors, some returning competitors, and it's going to be a 5-person competition this year. Chris Sanders,
Yes, sir.
Chase McCabe, Kelly Holcomb, George Plaster, and Derek Mason. This is pretty good stuff. Now,
Look, the only reason you were named commissioner was we were desperate.
right. I was the only guy willing to write down the picks you guys made. You guys would just make these picks.
It's like giving your own.
And then when Mahoney was born, he started eating the picks.
Yeah.
That wasn't good.
Oh, my goodness.
Did that really happen?
I think maybe he drew on some of the picks at some point. I don't know if he actually ate them. But, gentlemen, before we get started, I have a rules proposal that it's got to put up to a vote. Okay, we got a new year. Now, the last couple years we have had the panel pick both a college game and a pro game. And the reason we started that was because in the throes of the pandemic in 2020, there were a lot of games that were canceled, rescheduled, moved down the road, and we didn't know exactly who was going to be playing and who wasn't going to be playing. So we felt like we needed to add the pro games. Traditionally, up until 2020, we only picked one college game per year. So I'm going to propose that we go back to tradition, especially with George returning to the panel, that we pick only one college game each week. So that is the commissioner's proposal. So I am going to endorse that, but I'm going to put it to a vote for the panel. So who's with me, as they say? We're going to find out who backs the commissioner and who's going to rebel.
All right, director, I'll start with you.
So George, you get the first vote. 2 games
Willy,
or one?
I'm siding with you.
One college game.
All right, Kelly?
Okay, a vote for one only.
Yeah, I'm going against you. I say I like picking pros too.
What a surprise. Kelly goes against the commissioner's proposal.
Chris?
I like two. I like pros and college.
It worked for you your rookie year, Chris.
Absolutely.
For your championship. I'm not surprised you're voting that way.
D-Mase?
Hey, I'm with Willie. I mean, he's always cutting edge, so I'm sticking with him.
So
it comes down to Chase.
Oh, I'm the deciding
Okay,
vote.
it's 2-2. Chase McCabe decides. Are we picking one game or two? College and pro or just college?
Come on, Chase. Come on.
I vote 2. I like both.
Ooh, okay. So, a commissioner, I go with the constituency.
This is director versus director right here.
I've been overthrown.
Who's versus director?
I've been overthrown. Okay.
Hey, Willie, you can be like Roger Goodell. I mean,
Hey, they'll be right with you, Derek.
You can go your own way, you know?
That's right.
Now,
That's true.
Derek is bringing up a good point. Do I just flex my muscle as the commissioner and say, no, what the commissioner says goes?
You just said it's a
I know,
vote.
I know.
What are you?
Okay,
Are you
I'm
England?
I'm going to go
are
with
you
the
like
vote.
the king of England? Like, what the hell is this?
This is a monarchy.
We'll let you vote unless I don't like the outcome, and then I'll make my own decision.
Okay, so we will pick 2. Obviously, this week there's no pro game, so it's a moot point. So we'll just pick the one game this week.
Cool.
And then next week we will start with a college game and a pro game when we get things cranked up. All right, so let's take a break. When we come back, we will make the picks. Chris Sanders, by virtue of finishing last year, has the first pick.
Thanks. Appreciate it.
Chase McCabe picks second.
First, I didn't get to pick last year. Wow.
Let D go first.
D-Mace, you're an expansion franchise.
Chris has said let D go first.
D go first. I go second.
Nah, see, the commissioner has already made the draft order. It is in pen on the sheet for those of you watching in the studio here.
Oh, wow.
So it's down. So it'll be Chris.
Expansion guy doesn't
Hey,
get
George.
advantage.
George, you and I know Mother Russia. I think we've met Father Russia here.
I mean, what the heck? I gave him his first job in radio, and this is the thanks I get?
Yep. Plaza's picking 4th. And D-Mace is back. Pick of it. I had to flip a coin between George and D-Mase because see, this was all a very well thought out.
So does
procedure.
George inherit the champions team? Is that what this is?
It came down to George and D-Mase because they were not part of the competition last year. We had to flip a coin. They're entering, and they had to pick last the first year. But George won the toss.
Hey, Commish, can you get control of the panel, man, and just tell? I'm like hearing so many people talk. Like, what's the order, please?
Okay, we're going to take a moment to regroup. When we come back, we will make the picks. We're going to get this thing rolling. Silly Underdogs 2022, presented by Volunteer Hose and Gasket. Coming up next.
Silly Underdog Picks is back. Get your friends and sign up today at thegamenashville.com. Pick the 3 football underdog teams each week you think will win for a chance to win weekly prizes. Like a pair of tickets to a sporting event or to a concert in Nashville. Go to thegamenashville.com or the Game Nashville app and sign up and play now. Then tune in every Thursday at noon for our expert picks. Silly Underdogs is presented by Volunteer Hose and Gasket.
In St. Pete, Clearwater, Florida, the beach is just the beginning. Because here, there's so much more to explore. So let's paddle, and maybe even parasail. Let's hit the trails, the coffee shops, the quaint boutiques, and craft breweries. And then let's indulge in some fresh seafood with a sea view. From the Gulf Coast to the Bay, there's something for every taste and every interest. So let's make the most of every sun-drenched minute, and let's shine. Start planning your next escape at visitstpeteclearwater.com.
With your home value up again, you are sitting on a pile of money. So don't let it sit there. Use it. Willy Donick here for my friends once again at Loan Pronto. Introducing Loan Pronto's Equity Line of Credit program. You don't have to refinance, but you can access up to 97% of your home's value. Get cash now to pay off all your credit cards or do that home improvement project. Get your down payment for a new home or stash away for a safety net. You can get $50,000, even $100,000 or more out of your home. And the payments are crazy low. Think what you could do with $100,000 right now. Loan Pronto makes unlocking your equity easy, and they can probably even waive the appraisal. Don't just let all that home equity pile up. Turn your house into an ATM machine and get the cash you need. Call Loan Pronto now, 615-499-5780. That's 615-499-5780, or go to loanpronto.com. Equal housing lender, NMLS 166-1781, subject to lender approval.
This September, the Chainsmokers hit Music City at the Blended Wine and Music Festival. 24 bands, 2 stages, 1 weekend, all under the Nashville skyline. Performances by the Chainsmokers, Loud Luxury, Sick Kick, Fetty Wap, Breland, and more. September 10th and 11th, the ultimate social experience drops in Music City. Enjoy a massive 100-foot wine tent, culinary village, and wellness lounge. Get tickets now at blendedfestival.com.
I love this show.
Never miss a moment of the show.
Okay, all right, okay.
Subscribe to the Chase, Willy, and D-Mase podcast on iTunes, Spotify, and wherever you get your podcasts.
I'm ready to step this up a notch.
You're listening to Chase, Willy, and D-Mase on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and on the Game Nashville app.
There's no need to fear. Underdog is here.
All right, after a rocky takeoff and a very close vote, we are ready to commence with another season of Silly Underdog Picks 2022, presented by Volunteer Hose and Gasket. Gentlemen, there's a full slate of games for college this week. Only one pick for week 1, and then next week we will commence with a college pick and a pro pick. Remember, you can play online with us by going to thegamenashville.com, and you pick a combination of 3 games every week. So this is the first week of the competition. Make sure you sign up and play. A lot of you do it every year, and you can win the prizes. So make sure you jump in there and get your picks in for week 1. All right. First up in the competition will be Chris Sanders. He's played in the competition 2 years. He's got a first-place victory, a championship, and also a last-place victory, and it didn't go well. At one point, Chris, your record was 2-30 at one point last year. You did have a nice surge at the end. And so, Chris, you get the first pick going in. So let's do this right, and let's get the theme song going for Chris.
All right, here we go.
Happy to do it.
That's my theme song.
Each
That's
contestant.
you got to be over 50 to know what that song is. That's my theme song. All right, this is what I'm gonna go with. I'm coming right out the gate. I'm going Buffalo over Maryland plus 24. Let's go right here. Let's go.
Oh boy.
Now,
Let's go.
Chris Sanders is going exactly with his long-time philosophy, and that's go for the big underdog. And so here we go. The Buffalo Bulls. You realize this is the Bulls, Chris, and not the Bills.
Oh, it ain't the Bills?
It's the
No, this
Buffalo
is not the
Bulls.
Bills.
This is not Josh Allen. This is not.
I know. Hey, anything in there. I'm telling you, Maryland's okay. And I think Buffalo's going to go in there and stun Maryland. Absolutely. 24. Let's go.
Buffalo is a 24-point dog at Maryland Saturday at 11 on the Big Ten Network. The
right.
panel is
Good luck with
speechless.
that. Yeah,
This
I
is-
thought somebody was going to yelp,
good luck
because
with
they were
that.
going to pick that one.
That's Chris. That's Chris.
that is Chris. That is for sure. All right, with the second pick, we turn it over to Chase McCabe.
Behold the king, the king of kings. On your knees, dog.
All right, to start things off, I believe that there is a team that is grossly overranked in the top 25 that is hosting a game Saturday night, and I think they're going to lose. I like West Virginia, the road dog, plus 7.5 against Pitt.
West Virginia is a 7.5-point dog at number 17 Pittsburgh.
Overranked.
And that is on ESPN at 6 o'clock on Saturday night. Chase McCabe looking for his first championship.
It's tonight.
Oh, that's tonight?
Oh, that is tonight, yes.
Yeah, you're right. It is tonight.
Tonight on
You
ESPN.
have to know when the game is.
Kelly didn't.
You get -7. You get -7 for that.
Like I said, the game is tonight.
I thought it was Saturday.
7.5
Can
points.
we replace the commissioner, please?
Off to a great start. All right. So West Virginia is on the board for Chase. That'll give us something to focus on tonight. Moving on, the third pick, past champion. He's got multiple crowns over the course of his career and a fine career as quarterback in the NFL, going back to his days at Middle Tennessee State, Lincoln County High School. It's Kelly Holcomb.
We can skin a buck and run a trot line, and a country boy can survive. Country folks can survive. Country boy can survive. Country folks can survive.
I thought George was going to do it.
I thought George was going to. I mean, what are we doing? Like, George, figure something out. Let's go.
Plaz is back.
Okay, Chase, I didn't really appreciate you bringing me into your fight, okay? Don't bring me into something that you get called out on.
Sorry.
Okay, you know what? I am going to go with my philosophy as always. It's the first weekend, just a little base hit here. I'm going to say that Jeff Brom and the Purdue Boilermakers beat James Franklin and the Penn State Nittany Lions.
No. Swing and a miss.
Very interesting game.
I didn't want to go see that the first time. Swing and a miss.
Penn State is
I like that pick.
on the road at Purdue. The Boilermakers a 3.5-point home dog against James Franklin and crew. So an early Big Ten contest. Very interesting. That game will be on Fox
tonight. Yeah. So
Another
he's
one
going
tonight.
A lot of things could be decided tonight. Interesting.
Yeah. It's some early. Yeah. So this will be a good night to sit back and watch the season unfold. So Purdue is the pick against Jimmy Frank. All right. Moving on. Returning to the competition. The originator, Mr. George Plaster.
It's a very popular song in Baltimore, Maryland, George.
That's wonderful, but I'm furious because I think it's hard for me to hear where I am. Was Kelly the one that took Penn State?
Kelly
took
Purdue.
Took Purdue? Yeah.
Against Penn State.
What a rat.
Go eat some more lunch, George, and get it on your shirt.
I watched that part.
Willie, I'm going to go with Boise State. I think Oregon State's a fraud.
Going out west.
Interesting pick.
Boise
Anybody
State.
like it?
That is a pretty good pick.
Yeah, I don't hate it. I don't hate it at all.
Honestly, I don't know anything about Boise State right now.
They wear blue.
They have a blue
They have a
field.
blue field.
That's all I know.
Now, this game is being played in Corvallis, Oregon. Boise State, a 2.5-point dog against the Beavers out of the Pac-12. A lot of eyes on the Pac-12 with the upheaval, the two teams leaving. What's the future? So we'll see if Boise State can pull the upset. So a short play by George, just 2.5 points on the line. All right, that brings us.
I thought it was more than that.
Unfortunately, George, it's 2.5. Saturday night, 9:30 on ESPN.
What are you using?
This would be CBSSports.com. That's our official one this week. It will change. I will tell you up front. It will change next week. We have a sponsor that is going to take over this. But right now, CBS Sports.
Sounds good to me.
Okay, 2.5. A short pass. You and Kelly can fight to see who gets the shortest play of the week. 3.5 and 2.5. Not
Wins, man.
Are you, Willie, are you coming over to my house tonight?
Yes, I am.
Okay. Because I'm at Buffalo Wild Wings and about to order food, can I depart?
You may, George. Absolutely. I will let you
Enjoy
know
your
tonight.
lunch.
I will let you know tonight who Derek picks because he has the final pick.
I want to leave this with Kelly. Kelly, I've never heard any remorse on your end for that past sin.
Gee, I didn't hear what he said. What did George say?
He said you have not shown any remorse for your violation of picking a game that was already underway that you ended up winning.
George, if you leave, nobody cares. So you don't move the barometer either way, bro.
Director, thank you for your time. Enjoy your lunch and enjoy your time with Willie tonight.
Yes.
Grilled chicken Caesar on the way.
I love it.
Okay, with that in mind, let's turn the floor over to Derek Mason. Let's see what he's got up his sleeve for a theme song. He's back in the competition. Grease Lightning, his favorite movie from the Grease soundtrack.
Wow.
That's good stuff.
All right, D-Mase.
Hey, listen. In honor of the late, great Olivia Newton-John, I had to pick that, okay?
Okay.
My favorite movie was Grease, but I'm going to go with, and Tim might be mad at me with this one, but Rutgers, BC. I think BC is what? -7. So I'm picking Rutgers.
The Scarlet Knights of Rutgers, out of the Big Ten. A 7-point dog on the road at Alumni Stadium on Chestnut Hill. 7-point dog against Boston College.
I heard they erected a statue of Tim. Is that true?
Are they going to honor the Hasselbeck family? We'll see in that game. That game is on the ACC Network Saturday at 11 a.m. So, Derek, you can watch with interest in that. All right, so we have – it was a rocky start.
I got to go. I'm walking to the airport. So.
All right.
We'll see.
Don't miss your flight on account of this crazy competition. So, D-Mase, we'll see you back home.
All right. See you later, fellas.
All right. I have to be honest. It was kind of a rocky start. We'll get the flow. A lot of bashing of the commissioner.
Yeah, well, you should
a
be
vote
used to
that went right down to the wire. And, of course, a very unruly panel. But this is what we have for the recap of Week 1 for the Silly Underdog Competition 2022, presented by Volunteer Hose and Gasket. First up, Chris Sanders selects, as he customarily does, a big underdog, the Buffalo Bulls. out of the MAC. 24-point dogs at Maryland, playing in the Big Ten. Chase McCabe picking second. Selects a game going on tonight. It will be the West Virginia Mountaineers. A 7.5-point dog on the road at Pittsburgh. Kelly Holcomb with his first pick. Selects the Purdue Boilermakers, a 3.5-point dog tonight against Penn State. So Purdue, a home dog in that one. George Plaster, returning to the competition, comes back in with Boise State, a 2.5-point dog as they go on the road to take on Oregon State in Corvallis. And finally, Derek Mason, on his way to the airport to come back home, selects Rutgers. Of course, Derek must be getting intelligence up there. He's in the city of Boston, and he selects the Scarlet Knights on the road at BC, a 7-point dog. So he clearly has talked to some Boston College Golden Eagle people, and they're down on the Golden Eagles. Clearly, or else Derek would not have made the pick. Now remember, you can play online by going to thegamenashville.com. You pick 3 games, college or pro, this week, obviously. All of your picks will be college. But we'll have a weekly winner, and we will keep track of the scores all year long here on 102.5 The Game. Remember, thegamenashville.com. So those are our picks for week number 1. Gentlemen, good luck.
Yeah, whatever.
Let's go.
Whatever.
Guys, thanks as always. We'll do it again next week.
Appreciate you guys.
Fellas, appreciate you.
See ya. Kelly Holcomb, Chris Sanders, part of the competition, George Plaster, and our own Derek Mason as well. Silly Underdog Picks presented by Volunteer Hose and Gasket. We'll continue the college football theme. Coming up next, what do we need to see from the Tennessee Vols as they open their season tonight against Ball State? We'll do that coming up next. 102.5, 106.3, The Game.
Hey, I'm Matthias Ekholm, and this is Smashville.
Ekholm, his shot, he scores! Matthias Ekholm gets the Predators' third of the night.
You're listening to the flagship of the Nashville Predators radio network, ESPN 102.5 The Game.
Maine Kenny here. Oh, whoops. Kenny Maine here. All right, that one was on me. And hey, for new Caesars Sportsbook app users, your first bet's on Caesars. So if you don't win, you get it wrong, you get up to $1,250 back as a free bet. Download the Caesars Sportsbook app and sign up with the code RADIOFULL.
Open to new users in Tennessee who are 21 or older. Qualifying bet loses. Bet amount returned as a credit. Must use within 14 days. See Caesars.com/promos for full terms. Gambling problem? Call or text the Tennessee Red Line at 1-800-889-9789.
Save big this Labor Day at Electronic Express. Get a Samsung 65-inch 4K TV for only $599 or an LG laundry pair for $599 each. Electronic Express has huge savings in every department: computers, appliances, 4K TVs, smart home, furniture, mattresses, and more. Don't miss out on a Microsoft Surface Pro 8 bundle for just $899 or an Xbox Series S bundle for only $379. Shop in-store or online with up to 36 months free financing. Electronic Express. We make it happen.
Looking for a career with purpose or have that passion for youth development? Boys and Girls Clubs of Middle Tennessee provides a safe place where youth gain the tools to learn, lead, and reach their full potential. And that starts with you, offering competitive pay and free after-school care for employees. Learn more at bgcmt.org. When it's more than just your lawn, it deserves the Kubota Z400. Get a head-turning offer on class-leading speed, agility, simple deck height adjustments, and a quality cut. When you need comfort and performance, then you need the professional-grade Kubota Z400. Right now, get the Kubota Z400 mower for 0 down, 0% APR for 24 months or save $300. Now through September 30th. See us or go to KubotaUSA.com for full disclaimer. 3 locations to serve you: Columbia Kubota, Franklin Kubota, and Krebs Kubota. ColumbiaKubota.com or FranklinKubota.com or KrebsKubota.com.
Men, are you asking yourself questions like, why am I gaining fat? Why is my energy or sex drive down and maybe haven't been getting the exercise you need? If you want to get back to the man you used to be but just don't have that youthful energy, that edge you once had, you very well might have low testosterone. Low T causes all kinds of issues, from a reduced libido, lower drive, and bad sleep patterns to problems with muscle gain, bone density, and more. It may even contribute to erectile dysfunction, and if this sounds like you, it's probably time to get treated for your low T. At the Tennessee Tennessee Men's Clinic, we've treated thousands of men for low T. We've seen them put on muscle, add to their energy, improve their sex lives, get better sleep, and just feel better. Plus, if you're like most men, you'll see results in only a few weeks. So make an appointment today and experience how testosterone therapy can truly change your life. Your initial appointment is only $99 with results in minutes. Call today, 615-208-9090, or go to TennesseeMen'sClinic.com. Visit our website to learn more, including side effects. Treatments extra. Results vary.
Your home for Hit City is 94.9 The Fan.
Your Nashville Sounds continue their series at First Horizon Park against the Memphis Redbirds.
Swing and a miss, strike three. Sounds win.
Coverage begins at 6:50.
On your home for Sounds baseball, 94.9 The Fan and The Fan app.
What's happening in Nashville? This is Scott Van Pelt. You're listening to Nashville's best sports talk, ESPN 102.5 The Game.
.102.5, 106.3 The Game. Chase, Willy, and D-Mase, as it is game day. Silly underdog picks. Awesome, as always. Glad it's back. Again, go to thegamenashville.com. We will tweet out the expert picks here in just a few minutes, so you can see those as well. But the Vols taking on Ball State tonight at Neyland Stadium. Our own Joe Rexroad left the show right after the show, headed to Knoxville. So he is getting all set for the Volunteers to kick off their season a little bit later on tonight. The Vols go into this one as that line has moved just a little bit, 35.5 point favorite now for Tennessee at home.
Notice nobody took Ball State on our panel.
Yeah, I would not have taken Ball State.
I thought just for a second, Chris was going to take Ball State because he has taken some Mid-American Conference teams who are that big of an underdog. He has.
Oh, I know he has.
And he's won a championship with some huge chunks like that. But nobody took Ball State in that one. They're not supposed to be that good. If I'm Josh Heupel tonight, or if I'm watching with interest for Tennessee, what I want to see is pick up where they left off in terms of, and I thought they did a very good job of this last year in their opener. Come out with the tempo. That was the first impression I had when they played their debut game. Who did they play last year to open the season? You remember? They won easily. It wasn't a very good team.
They played, I got it right here. I can tell you. They opened the season against Bowling Green.
Bowling Green.
38-6.
Yeah, so it was another MAC team, similar kind of matchup. But the thing that I noticed first was there was no mistaking who they were going to be. And it was Josh Heupel saying, this is my offense. We're playing up-tempo. You better get used to not seeing the replays on TV because by the time you roll that tape back, we're going to be running the next play. It was that out of the gate. I think that's the thing that you're hoping for if you're Tennessee tonight is you can just overwhelm Ball State by doing your thing. Do what you do well. They've got the talent. If they execute tonight, they're going to roll. There's no question about it. And then we'll all be looking for the little clues to see if they're making inroads on defense, which is where it's really going to make or break them this year, as far as are they going to take a big step forward.
Yeah,
they're going to score. They're going to score points.
Oh, absolutely. The total tonight is 66.5. I like the over, because I think, late in the game especially, Ball State will probably add a couple. But I think Josh Heupel is really – now that it's year 2 in this offense and Hendon Hooker is the returning starter, I think you're going to see this offense be a little more – it came together as the season went on, but it's going to be even more seamless now in year 2. Plus, he's got Cedric Tillman returning. I think Hendon Hooker has a lot of weapons that he can use, including his own abilities.
Yeah, and remember, everybody's going to be like, duh, but Hendon Hooker was not the opening day starter last year.
No, it's Joe Milton.
And so now you've got him with a year under his belt. He's an older quarterback that had a lot of success last year. He's going to come in with a lot of confidence, and we'll see if he can take the next step. Right? How scary would it be if he is even better than he was last year?
I think he will be. Look, you've heard me say that I could see him being a dark horse Heisman candidate. I think he's that good.
I think that's the ceiling. I don't know if he could win the Heisman, but I do think his ceiling, because you can roll up big numbers, and numbers are a part of it, right? And I'm not sure it always ends up being in the context of what everybody else does. But when you play a high-tempo offense and you can throw 5 touchdown passes or account for 5 touchdowns running or throwing every week, you can get into that discussion. I don't think that's unrealistic, especially if they can win a game or two that are not supposed to win.
Yeah, so I think there's been a lot of talk, as I turn my mic off, a lot of talk about, 9 wins, 8 wins. I heard the morning show discussing it, that they lean more 8 wins. Tennessee has a tough schedule. I don't think anybody's arguing that, even having to play Georgia and Alabama as they do every year, LSU on the road is not going to be easy. Kentucky is not going to – that's no longer a gimme game for Tennessee because of what Stoops has done there at Kentucky. So that's going to be a tough one. I still kind of think Pitt, as I said, I picked West Virginia. I think Pitt is overranked. I think they should go to Pittsburgh and win that game. They lost last year at Neyland Stadium. I don't feel like that's going to be the case, but there are some swing games on that schedule that they're going to have to play their best and take care of, and or make up for it in other areas.
I'm going to go back to something that Ryan McGee said with us last week, and I thought it was a really good mindset. If you're Josh Heupel, you kind of like the fact that you're in the discussion, but you're not preseason top 25. He thought that was the right sweet spot in terms of expectations, because if you think back through the last few tenures of Tennessee football coaches in the post-Philip Fulmer era, a lot of times there's an excitement after the first year, an optimism, and then suddenly something happens that lowers the optimism and starts that doubt creeping in, and then it all has sort of snowballed down the hill the wrong way all too often. Not always after the first year, but you know what I'm saying, like within the first couple years. Like there was a time that Butch Jones had everybody buying in, and then, boy, that came crashing down. Derek Dooley, I think even Jeremy Pruitt at one point, remember, they at least got to the point where they were beating the teams they were supposed to beat. There was optimism there. And then all of a sudden, boom, it hit a wall. So I think if I'm Josh Heupel, I don't want too much over-promising on what this season's going to be. And the schedule, you could win 7 games but play really well in a lot of games and come up just short, say against Georgia or Alabama. But I think, what's the feeling that they're going to have by the end of the season? I think that's more important than exactly how many games that they win, provided they win at least 6 or 7, right? You got to get to a bowl game at least. But I think they could have a really exciting season, win a game or two they're not supposed to win, still end up with 7 or 8 wins, and still say, hey, that's a good second year.
Look, if they win the games they're supposed to, and then let's say Derek's right, because D-Mase made the bold prediction that he thinks Tennessee's going to beat Georgia.
Yeah, and I'm not sure if he was completely he said it. Like, he was sober. He was like, I was like, we had to say, wait a minute. What did you say? He's sticking by it.
I don't believe it, but let's say it happens.
Okay.
Well, if that happens, then Tennessee's playing in Atlanta. I mean, they're going to Atlanta. That's what that means. That means they've won the East, and they're going to Atlanta if they end up beating Georgia and winning the games that, they should win. So, even a slip up in there could potentially, like if Georgia beats Kentucky and Tennessee, let's say, loses to Kentucky, but they beat Georgia, that would still help them, and they go to Atlanta. Then you obviously love that. But to me, the most realistic thing is they're fighting Kentucky for that second spot in the SEC East. And people are writing Florida off. I'm not ready to write them off just yet, even though I don't think they're going to be very good. I think they may be better, but I still think Billy Napier, he needs a year, get that program going, get his philosophy in there. Tennessee should beat them. But
you're
if they're
saying
fighting,
should beat them.
Should beat them.
But
if they're, I know you don't like it when I say that, but they should beat them. But if they're fighting it out with Kentucky for the second spot in the East, I think you take that.
Would you take, this is an interesting question, what if I told you that they'll end up with 7 wins, they'll lose a couple of the swing games, let's just say it's a Florida, a Kentucky. You lose a couple of those, but you get a big win over a Georgia or an Alabama. Like, would you take that? What gives you more momentum for your program?
I mean, would you take that? Sure. But I would not like saying that you lost to both Kentucky and Florida.
Well, it doesn't have to be those two. I'm just saying 2 games.
But I mean,
on the
those
schedule.
are big.
Pittsburgh would be another one.
LSU would be.
Or LSU. Games.
Like I'm leaning more towards they're probably not like it's going to be a great game. Like I'd love to go to it, but they're probably not going to beat LSU in Baton Rouge. If Brian Kelly has a good first year.
Okay, but I won't even say which ones are which. I'll say you're only going to win 7, but you get a big signature win against Georgia or Alabama. Would you take that?
Yeah, of course you would. If you're beating Georgia or Alabama.
But the win total is only 7 and 5 in the regular season. I'm not counting the bowl game.
I think Vols fans would take it.
Okay. Rather than a 9-3, but losing to the big.
Well, they take both. I mean, I don't think there's a either or.
There isn't either. In my hypothetical, it's either or.
Okay, well then I'm taking the 9-3.
Okay. You even if you get whipped by the top dogs again.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because you expect that.
Okay.
You expect that. So
what's better for your program? What goes further?
9 wins.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Instead of a win where you upset the top 1 or 2 teams in the
how competitive are you in the losses to those teams?
I did not go that far in my hypothetical. This was just off the top of my head.
But that matters. If you lose to Georgia,
you can look good and
if
lose.
you lose to Georgia by 2 touchdowns and you win 9 games, you'll take that.
Okay.
That is progress.
That was the rap on Georgia for a long time, is that they would win the games that they were supposed to win, and they flopped in the big games. Up until a couple of years ago, it started to give it. But that was the rap of a Mark Richt team a lot of times, right?
It was. And it ultimately led to him.
So if you won 9, if you went 9-3, but you got smoked and you didn't look like you were at the same level as Alabama or Georgia, how would you feel?
Then you're going to have Vols fans going that you're going to have Vols fans saying that we're far off from being with the big dogs.
These are all hypotheticals. September 1st, we're full of hypotheticals.
Interesting news out of Atlanta for the Braves. We'll tell you about that coming up next. Also, we'll get back into our poll question of the day. If you could reverse course on the A.J. Brown trade, would you? 615-737-1025. Chase, Willy, and D-Mase, 1025 The Game. And the Game Nashville app.
At some point, it's a combination of who did you play and what does your skill set look like.
Get the best analysis of the big stories in the sports world with ESPN's Jason Fitz.
If you reach for a quarterback in the draft because you need one, you're going to set your franchise back 5 years.
Join Fitzy every Wednesday at 4:30. Presented by Blood Assurance. Jason Fitz.
I am 5'9.5"
on ESPN
1025 and 1063 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
From the Fox 17 News Code Red Weather Center.
On Fox 17 Code Red meteorologist Greg Bobus forecast for today, very comfortable, very similar to your Wednesday. High temperatures upper 80s to right near 90 degrees, low humidity, and no rain chances for today. A few showers and storms late in the day for your Friday.
Brought to you by Hiller Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Electrical.
Call the Happy Face truck today.
In St. Pete, Clearwater, Florida, every day is a beach day. And with 35 miles of pristine, sugary white sand, it's easy to see why. So let's grab the beach bag, the beach ball, and the boogie board. Let's pack the suits, the sunscreen, and the sunglasses. Take a dip in the emerald green waters of the Gulf. And then take in a breathtaking sunset at the end of the day. So let's make a beeline to the beach. And let's shine. Plan your next getaway at visitstpeteclearwater.com.
Realizing Geico has over 85 years of experience saving folks money and providing great customer service is like realizing how when you take the cover off your travel toothbrush and attach it to the other end, it becomes a handle.
Hey, thanks. I can reach my molars now.
It's something that's been right there in front of you this whole time, like the dedicated Geico claims team available to you in the event of an accident to get you back on the road quickly. Or how that small pouch inside your jeans pocket is for holding your pocket watch.
But I don't have a pocket watch.
You might have gotten one if you had known you had a pocket for it.
It's something you can't believe you never realized before. Like how Geico's 97% customer satisfaction rating means Geico is committed to providing the best service for their customers. Or how you don't have to pry out the plastic seal on your deodorant. You can just turn the knob and it pops right out.
Look at that. I gave up trying to get into my deodorant days ago.
We hadn't noticed.
Trust. It's just one of the many reasons to switch to Geico. They're all right there in front of you.
Hey, it's Jared from my official sportsbook app, the FanDuel Sportsbook app. Kick off week 1 with FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. Join today to get started with $150 in free bets guaranteed when you place your first $5 bet. Just sign up with the promo code JGM to get in on all the action. Then you can turn game day into payday all season long. Tons of great bets to make for week 1, and I think right now everybody feels pretty good about the Titans against the Giants. You can even combine your bets for a chance at a bigger payout with a same-game parlay. Don't fumble your chance to get $150 in free bets, win or lose, with the promo code JGM, and make every moment more with FanDuel, an official sports book partner of the National Football League. 21 and older and present in Tennessee. First online real money wager, only $10 first deposit required. Bonus issued as non-withdrawable free bets that expire 14 days after receipt. Restrictions apply. See terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. Gambling problem? Call the Tennessee Red Line 1-800-889-9789.
Robbie Stanley.
To avoid non-contact injuries and not repeat last year.
Joe Rexrode.
Just wait until next year's national TV schedule comes out.
Robbie and Rexrode. Mornings from 6 to 10 on Nashville's best sports talk.
ESPN
102.5 and 106.3 The Game, and on the Game Nashville app. This is Chase, Willy, and D-Mase on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game, and on the Game Nashville app.
102.5, 106.3 The Game. Chase, Willy, D-Mase. You can join Big Joe Dubin and Elijah Campbell tomorrow for the Apple Collision Center's Game Blitz, presented by National Playmakers Academy from 6 to midnight. They'll preview the big games and then take you through the night of high school football around the Mid-State. It's the Apple Collision Center's Game Blitz, presented by National Playmakers Academy, right here on 102.5, 106.3 The Game. Chase McKay, Willie Donick here with you. Keep voting in our poll question at 102.5 The Game. Last chance. Do you reverse the A.J. Brown trade? 71.4% say no. 28.6% say yes. We'll do a deep dive into that, plus the Josh Gordon news coming up at the top of the next hour. But some news out of Atlanta concerning my beloved Atlanta Braves. A flurry of moves that they have made. They returned infielder Orlando Arcia from his rehabilitation assignment and reinstated him from the injured list, and reported right-handed pitcher Jesse Chavez to Atlanta after they just reacquired him for what seems like the 6th time. The club also has returned right-handed pitcher Mike Soroka from his rehab assignment, reinstated him from the injured list, and optioned him to AAA Gwinnett to make room on the 40-man roster. Darren O'Day has been sent to the 60-day injured list. And here's the big one, Willie. Ozzie Albies will begin his rehab assignment tonight with the Gwinnett Stripers. So Ozzie Albies well on his way to return for the stretch run for the Braves.
I would say that they've done a pretty darn good job of filling his spot. They've certainly won a ton of games since he's been out, and people were a little worried about that when he got hurt. So that's to the Braves' credit. With the depth that they have, and this kid Grissom is a really interesting one, because let's presume that they get Albies back and they have Swanson playing shortstop. Grissom's probably not going to play that much. And then at the end of the year, they have to decide, do they want to re-up with Dansby Swanson, or do they think Grissom long-term is the shortstop? Or Albies, who came up as a shortstop, could he slide over and play short and Grissom play second? I don't know. That would be less expensive that way, because Swanson has earned a huge contract, and he's going to be on the open market. It's something for down the road there.
Sure.
But I think the Braves, again, are poised. They are a very deep team. I don't see a weakness on that team whatsoever. They continue to push the Mets. The Mets had a huge win. In fact, Nick, can we hear Tommy Trumpet? Do we have that? Is that within your midst here? The Braves took care of business. They had lost 3 in a row, and they had lost one to the Rockies. They pulled it out last night. Got a little hairy in the 9th inning. Kenley Jansen gave up a home run, but the Braves hung on and beat the Rockies after the Mets had beaten the Dodgers 2-1. The Mets had an electric atmosphere last night. The game was on Major League Baseball Network. Bob Costas did the game. Starling Marte hit a 2-run homer. Mookie Betts homered for the Dodgers, so it's a tight 2-1 game. Brandon Nimmo made the catch of the season, robbing, I think it was Justin Turner, of a home run that would have tied the game off of Jacob deGrom. deGrom was lights out other than that. So it goes to the 9th. Edwin Diaz comes in. Now, we've played this Tommy Trumpet song before. He's got this entrance music, but they took it to the next level last night. They actually had the trumpet player on hand. He was live.
Nice.
And he went onto the dugout and he plays this song that everybody's going nuts for. In fact, they're even passing out trumpets to the crowd now, or fake trumpets. So here we go.
It is catchy. I'll give it that.
Oh, it's good. It's good. So they had the guy in the dugout. He was going. The guy's from Australia too. By the way, he's not from the heritage of where you would that's a Hispanic style Latin type of song. Timmy Trumpet, not to be confused with Tommy Two-Tone.
But this is his walk-up song.
This is the entrance song. Do you call it a walk-up song when you're the relief pitcher coming out of the thing? I guess that's the terminology. But he's got this whole presentation, and it's just taken on a life of its own. And now you've got the guy playing the song live, and he just blew away the Dodgers in the last inning. Now they play again today at 3 o'clock. So they're coming back day game after a night game. This is the rubber match of the series.
And look, it's a big night because Braves won last night, Mets won last night. They both lost the night before, so there's been no edge either way. But this could be big with the Mets playing this afternoon. The Braves will play a little later on.
It's a really exciting race every night. I just think it's fantastic.
I hope
a lot of people who follow the Braves or love baseball or get on the bandwagon for this. I think it's going to be a great thing to watch.
And I think that this, the Yankees, they pretty much have the AL East locked up. Cleveland, there's Cleveland, Minnesota are fighting it out in the Central right now, which, that's a close race. White Sox 5 games back too. The West is 1. But to me, Willie, I honestly think this is the most exciting race towards the end here.
And I think it actually is very much relevant, whereas you could say, look, they're both going to make the playoffs.
Sure.
And that's true, but the winner of the division has a distinct advantage, so there's something at stake for winning the division. So we'll be looking for that. It looks like there's going to be some news on the Titans here that we're going to hit at the top of the hour here.
Okay.
On a little contract restructuring.
Ooh.
A little maneuvering. But let me leave you on this note with the baseball. And you watched the game last night. I watched game 1 of the series. The Angels hosted the Yankees. Angels are a bad team with really exciting superstar players, which is the dilemma. They beat the Yankees 2 out of 3. Shohei Ohtani hit another homer last night. I would contend Shohei Ohtani, who is now, he has 10 wins on the mound. In fact, I think he's got 11, and he's got 31 home runs. Nobody in the history of baseball has ever had a 30-home run season and a 10-win season on the mound. Nobody's come close to that. I would say it's the greatest achievement relative to as little fanfare as he gets for that. To me, we're not even comprehending how amazing that is that he's doing that. It's like, imagine if Pekka Rinne were playing goalie for a certain percentage of the time and also scoring 30 goals. It's like you don't do that in hockey. I'm just trying to think of an equivalent of that. It's just incredible what he's doing. It's like maybe a player playing on both sides of the football in an NFL season. 10 interceptions and 1,000 yards rushing or something. Just think about how crazy what he's doing is, and yet it's just not something that takes over the mindset. Everybody knows he's great, but it's just the star power thing, the hype, it doesn't equate to the greatness of what he's doing.
Coming up next, there is Titans news. We'll get into that, plus revisit our poll question and the signing of Josh Gordon. That's all coming up. Chase, Willy, and D-Mase, 102.5, 106.3 The Game.
Stuck at work without a radio?
Wait a minute. Disastrous.
I hate that.
It's got to be there.
That's okay. Download the Game Nashville app or go to thegamenashville.com and listen live. We are Nashville's best sports talk, 102.5 and 106.3 The Game.
ElectronicExpress.com. We make it happen.
Finding great candidates to hire can be like, well,
trying to find a needle in a haystack. Sure, you can post your job to some job board, but then all you can do is hope the right person comes along, which is why you should try ZipRecruiter for free at ZipRecruiter.com/radio. ZipRecruiter doesn't depend on candidates finding you. It finds them for you. Its powerful technology identifies people with the right experience and actively invites them to apply to your job. You get qualified candidates fast. So while other companies might deliver a lot of hay, ZipRecruiter finds you what you're looking for. The needle in the haystack.
See why 4 out of 5 employers who post a job on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. ZipRecruiter, the smartest way to hire. And right now, you can try ZipRecruiter for free. That's right, free at ZipRecruiter.com/radio. That's ZipRecruiter.com/radio. ZipRecruiter.com/radio.
This is for the men who never settle, the ones who believe only quitters end a game in a tie, the type of guys who choose the bar with the biggest TVs to overcompensate for theirs at home. This is the Lodge mentality. This is Twin Peaks.
If you have the first overall pick, select Twin Peaks for your fantasy football draft party. Stay cool under pressure with 29-degree draft beers, bites for the whole team, a $50 bonus card for the commish, and $5 bonus card for every drafter. Visit TwinPeaksRestaurant.com/fantasy draft for info.
We gather together in communities across the nation to remember and honor, to celebrate and support, to light the night. We are LLS, and when we walk, cancer runs. Find your local event at lightthenight.org.
From the Hillside Medical Game Studios, WPRT-FM Pegram, WPUC HD2 Laverne.
Chase Elliott scores the win in the Ally 400 at the Nashville Superspeedway.
Nashville's exclusive home for NASCAR. 102.5 and 106.3.
Terang, it's a high fly ball.
We got pass rushers.
Awesome game set.
Checkered flag in the air.
The game.
A Cromwell Media Station.
Now let's see if we can bring them to life, all right?
Bringing you entertainment and informative sports talk during your workday.
Smart, funny, classy, and I like him a lot.
This is Chase, Willy, and D-Mase with Chase McCabe, Willy Donick,
Mason, touchdown, Tennessee.
and former NFL wide receiver Derek Mason on Nashville's best sports talk, 102.5 and 106.3 The Game, and on the Game Nashville app.
This is a new level of geek you got going on here.
1 o'clock hour, Chase, Willy, and D-Mase, 102.5, 106.3 The Game. We're streaming on the Game Nashville app as well. You can weigh in on our phone and text line driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com, 615-737-1025. Chase and Willy here today. D-Mase will be back with us tomorrow. Eddie George going to join us at 1 o'clock tomorrow as well, which is significant to talk to the former Titans running back because the current Titans running back, Derrick Henry, well, he got a little bit of a raise today. Ian Rappaport of the NFL Network has said sources the Titans have reworked all-pro running back Derrick Henry's contract to give him a $2 million raise in 2022. Henry will now earn $14 million this season, the most of any running back. 2023, though, remains the final year of Henry's contract. He goes on to give a little more clarity of what that means, but Pro Football Talk has put this out, Willy, that PFT confirms new deal for Derrick Henry. The Titans moved $2 million from the final year of his deal, which is 2023 to 2022. If he's still playing at a high level after this season, he'll likely get a new contract next year. He goes on to say Henry gets a $9 million signing bonus, $4 million in base salary, and $1 million in 46-man roster bonuses in 2022. No new years were added. 2 voidable years were included for cap purposes. So basically moving money around from next year to this year, and if he continues to be Derrick Henry, he's going to get a new deal.
And by the same token, they still can get out of the contract if the wheels fall off or something, if there's a regression. Very interesting. And I hearken back. The first thing I thought of was the minicamp, and I don't know if we can find the soundbite anywhere. It's probably deep in our archives somewhere if we can find it, but you remember it as well as I do. When he faced the media in the minicamp, he was asked about a new contract because that was kind of being floated out there, and everybody was kind of like, really? Why would you do that? What's in it? He said, hey, everybody would like a raise.
Yeah.
And so I think this is a couple things. Number one, they know how important Derrick Henry is to everything. There's a lot riding on Derrick Henry. They want him feeling really good because he has bought in. He is as driven, as great of a representative of the franchise. He takes more punishment, arguably, than anybody on the team. And they want to feel like he feels appreciated, right? That to me would be one motivation of what they're doing. But also what they're doing is they know that after this year, it's like who's kidding who, regardless of what happens this season. He's under contract for next year, but next year they're going to have to tear it up and find it just depends on how he does. Maybe it arrives at the same number it's currently at right now, but there's a really good chance that if he, like you said, if he does really well, he's going to ask for a new deal. If he doesn't do well, they're going to cut him.
Yeah, exactly.
So either way, you're going to address his contract at the end of the season, so let's give you more than any running back gets this year. Let's give you a little raise. You feel good about that. Let's go get him this year, and then we'll worry about next year. Because even if you didn't do anything, that would be the case. But let's appreciate your value to this franchise and what you have done for this franchise this year and give you the raise. It's almost, they got the couple extra $1 million on the Brett Kern contract, so maybe they had it under the cap that they felt like they could get.
But it's also, you're moving from next year, even though it may change because you're probably going to sign him to something different.
So, but what's interesting to me is that they were going to need to do that anyway next year. Let's just throw out a number. Tell me what he does this year. Anything. Good, bad, or in between.
I mean, I think he's going to be anywhere between 1,500 and 1,700 yards.
Okay, if he has 1,500 to 1,700 yards, he's going to get a new deal next year. It's
No
a
doubt.
whole new thing.
And I would say 15 to 20 touchdowns.
I mean, I guess you could do the franchise tag or something like that, but
no,
it's probably,
you can't tag him.
If he has
a year left.
If he has another top level running back year, it's going to be a new contract. He's going to have that kind of leverage.
He's getting a contract next year.
All right, and so let's say he misses 5 games and has about 1,000 yards. He's not playing. He's not playing for what he's on. They're gonna cut him.
This is it.
Yeah.
He's out. That's what's crazy about this whole scenario is there could be a situation where you're re-signing Tannehill and Henry to new deals once again to match up, or you're cutting bait with both of them after this year, or you're cutting bait with one of them after this year. I mean, this is a huge year for the two most important players on this football team, in Derrick Henry and Ryan Tannehill.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, they control their own destiny.
If you want, they control their own destiny, and the Titans control their destiny because if
if
it's
they
a
both
great
have
year
if
and
they
you
both
want to
have
roll
monster
it
years,
back,
you're not moving on.
no question about it.
Like
But
you're stuck.
But you're going to have to redo both of their contracts probably, because just like Derrick Henry, if you have a big year, you have leverage for a new deal. You just saw what Russell Wilson got. He just got a 5-year extension. He's just as old as Ryan Tannehill.
Tannehill's
5 years.
older.
Tannehill's a little bit older. It's about the same. Wilson will join. They were same draft class.
Yeah.
Wilson
Tannehill's
will
already
turn 34.
34.
Tannehill is already 34. You're right. But you see what I'm saying? Like, if Tannehill has a great bounce-back year and the team kind of overachieves, he's probably going to have a pretty nice market to either re-up with the Titans, run it back, or move on to somewhere else. So if the Titans determine they want to run it back and keep Tannehill and Henry, they can do that. But also, if the team doesn't do well and they want to decide the window's up, it's over, it's time to move on, they've got the flexibility to do that. This is kind of a smart move, really, by John Robinson. And this is the benefit of not spreading the money out over a long period of time, which some GMs have done in the past. It's biting the bullet on a big cap number for Tannehill and for Derrick Henry this year. The cap number just got bigger for Derrick Henry. They gave him that $2 million raise. But they get big money. They're happy. And then you address what's going on with some flexibility. You see where you're at the end of the season. It's a really compelling move.
Yeah, it's interesting. Because, I mean, you're in some ways robbing Peter to pay Paul. I mean, it's kind of by moving some of the money around. You're essentially helping yourself a little bit next year, but you're adding to the cap this year. And people are texting, like, so got rid of Kern to do this.
I don't think they did it for that reason, but I think it was, hey, we want a 100% bought-in Derrick Henry that is not worried at all about the contract. Because in a day and age where running backs are kicked to the curb, not paid, not respected, they wanted to deliver the message to Derrick Henry that he is appreciated. He is a throwback. He is a guy that the team leans on, and he should be paid accordingly. Is there another team that it'll be interesting to see what the Colts do with Jonathan Taylor. I don't know what his next contract is going to be. But very few teams invest in running backs the way the Titans have invested in Derrick Henry. And they know the price he's paid, and they know what happens historically. Running backs, once they hit the wall, they're out, man. It's see you later. What have you done for me lately? So this is a nice gesture that I think will have Derrick Henry having the peace of mind of the punishment I'm about to take for this team is appreciated by my employer.
Yeah.
That's nice.
Oh,
and remember
absolutely.
the quote. Let's finish where we started. The quote he had. Everybody loves a raise. Everybody loves getting a raise.
But that right there, to your point, he has, and you're right, but he's done it the right way. You can never,
yes.
Till
and
the
that
end of
is
time,
part of the reason you do it.
Till the end of time, you can never say that Henry's done it the wrong way.
He hasn't held out. He hasn't complained publicly. He shows up to work and represents the franchise the best possible way you can.
And I think that has also affected him on the field. I mean, I go back to, and it's ironic because I believe Chris Johnson's actually going to join the show next week. And so I'd be curious to get his thoughts on this too. But he went through it. He held out. Mm-hmm. He held out for a whole training camp. And quite frankly, I think it affected him.
I think it did.
And he got the money.
He was rusty.
He got paid,
when he came out
but
there.
he was never really the same after that. And he had the 2,000-yard year and everything. And then we remember smash and dash and those things. But it affected him. And you've seen running backs that hold out. Le'Veon Bell is another prime example.
And it backfired. He was never the same.
Right. Now, you could sit here and go, well, Henry missed half a season because of injury. How is that going to affect him? It could affect him. We don't know. But I also buy into the fact that he is a freak. He's different. He is different from a lot of guys. And so I would be less surprised for him to come back and pick up where he left off than I would be if he came back and he wasn't as good.
Yeah, and I do think there's something to be said for feeling like you're totally bought in, that you're being appreciated, you're being compensated for what you do. And it's not the exact dollars all the time, but think about, you mentioned CJ2K. When you've been at the top and he had the 2,000 and then he comes back and was it the holdout, right? Was it the next year after the 2,000? Was he coming off of that or was it the year after that?
No, he hit yeah, it might have been.
I'm trying to remember.
10 or 11.
But what was interesting is after the holdout.
Fisher was gone. I think Fisher was gone.
If you look at the years, he still had a handful more 1,000-yard seasons, but it never seemed like it was that great. It seemed like he never bounced back from the holdout. And so it's just interesting when you've been a 2,000-yard guy, you got to really bring it to seem like you're as good. Otherwise, it looks like you're declining.
Right.
There was a sense that CJ was declining, and yet you look at the numbers, there's not a lot of backs that string together 6 straight 1,000 or more yard seasons. He did it, though.
He did, for sure. Coming up next, the Titans have made some other moves today. We'll get back into the Josh Gordon signing as well. Take your call, 615-737-1025. And our poll question, if you could reverse the A.J. Brown trade, would you? We'll do that coming up next. Chase, Willy, and D-Mase, 1025 The Game. But first, you know how much I love Screwball Peanut Butter Whiskey. And when I'm out and about, and I'm going to be out and about this weekend watching some games, I'll definitely have a Screwball Peanut Butter Whiskey. I like it as a shot. You can also have it on the rocks. You can have it as a peanut butter old-fashioned, an espresso martini. Doesn't matter. Go to screwballwhiskey.com for more recipes. But what I love about it the most, it's an original, just like me, just like the suit. It's made with real peanuts, real peanut butter, and real whiskey, and it goes down smooth. Natural flavors, and it's the most awarded peanut butter whiskey in the entire world. So when you're out and about with your friends, do like I do. Order it by name. Say, I want a Screwball peanut butter whiskey. And also make sure you do like I do. Enjoy it responsibly. Copyright 2022 Screwball Spirits, LLC, San Diego, California. Whiskey with natural flavors, 35% alcohol by volume.
185! Every team needs a quarterback.
185!
That's why we have
Hasselbeck, bootleg, rollout, toss, touchdown!
Tim. ESPN NFL analyst Tim Hasselbeck gives his expertise on all things NFL.
How that team is built, I think there's a lot to like about them.
Every Tuesday at noon, Tim with Chase, Willy, and D-Mase. Presented by Red Spirit and Wine in Bellevue on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
In St. Pete, Clearwater, Florida, the beach is just the beginning. Because here, there's so much more to explore. So let's paddle, and maybe even parasail. Let's hit the trails, the coffee shops, the quaint boutiques, and craft breweries. And then let's indulge in some fresh seafood with a sea view. From the Gulf Coast to the Bay, there's something for every taste and every interest. So let's make the most of every sun-drenched minute, and let's shine. Start planning your next escape at visitstpeteclearwater.com.
College football season is here. Finally, it's me, Caroline Fenton, and you already know that I am pumped up for college football season. And Southeastern Carolines, you know that 312 Pizza Company is my favorite place in town. 312 Pizza Company is a family-owned restaurant located in the heart of Germantown, serving up authentic Chicago-style eats right here in Music City. You can catch every down of the college football season at 312 Pizza Company. From week 1 to the national championship, 312 Pizza Company is your home for college football season.
Back in 1949, Dr. Houston began the tradition of treating athletes for common sports injuries. Today, the sports medicine physicians at Houston Clinic Orthopedics continue his legacy. Whether you play at school, in a league, on a professional team, or just enjoy being active, Houston Clinic Orthopedics physicians are there to help you stay in the game. Common sports injuries include tears, strains, sprains, and instabilities of the knee, shoulder, and ankle. Houston Clinic Orthopedics is located where you work and live. Visit tn.houston.com to book your appointment online. When experience matters, trust Houston Clinic Orthopedics.
Attention sports fans. Your favorite sportsbook, BetUS.com, is back for our 28th year of NFL action. With the industry's biggest sign-up bonus of up to 200%, BetUS offers our members the opportunity to cash in on all your favorite leagues, including NFL, NBA, MLB, and more. We've also got hundreds of new casino games, including the coolest European slots, and our live dealers are waiting for you at the tables. You need a sportsbook with integrity, longevity, and you need to know you're gonna get paid. You need a sportsbook that offers everything, including live betting, MMA, golf, horses, esports, and all kinds of crazy bets. Call today at 1-800-79-BET-US. That's 1-800-79-BET-US, and they will walk you through setting up an account. Nobody in the industry gives better bonuses than BetUS. Join now. Mention BetUS 2022, and you can get up to 200% in bonuses on your first deposit. Nobody beats that. Head to BetUS.com and join today. That's BetUS, where the game begins.
Are you a local up-and-coming music act looking for your big break? We might just have a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity for you. Blended Festival and Affinity Entertainment are hosting a chance for a music act like you to join the lineup for Nashville's Blended Festival, September 10th and 11th. The finalists announced September 1st. To submit, text I Want to Win to 615-965-8657 or check out at Affinity Nash on Instagram.
It's on. It's happening. Remember, you can watch us on YouTube, Facebook, Twitch, and Twitter.
Get out of the way. I'm watching the game.
Presented by the law offices of Amanda Gentry.
I'm ready to step this up a notch.
You're listening to Chase, Willy, and D-Mase on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and on the Game Nashville app.
102.5, 106.3 The Game. Chase, Willy, and D-Mase. Chase and Willy here today. D-Mase back tomorrow. Got a big show tomorrow coming up. In addition to Eddie George, but Brett McMurphy going to join us, talk some college football with him. Richard Deitch of The Athletic going to join us as well. We'll also preview the high school football slate with Big Joe at 10:30. But the Titans signing Derrick Henry, they've given him a $2 million raise this year. They basically moved $2 million from last year or from next year to this year. And that's how they were able to do that, basically setting it up that if he has a big year, he's going to get a new contract for the Tennessee Titans. But earlier, as we kicked off the show, it was reported by Adam Schefter that the Titans were signing Josh Gordon to their practice squad. And he, of course, has been around the league, most notably with Cleveland, has had the off-the-field stuff with marijuana issues, missed a lot of time because of that, but was the odd man out with the Kansas City Chiefs in their receiver battle, now at 31 years old on the Titans practice squad. And yesterday we both said we couldn't see it happening when it was brought up, and we were proven wrong. John Robinson does take a flyer on him, but I think it's interesting looking at this receiver room. If you can get something out of Josh Gordon for 4 or 5 games, it's worth it.
I think we were all surprised. Derek was surprised when we were all texting after the show yesterday. I guess each show was a game for us, kind of our daily game.
Every day is a Super Bowl.
We were all kind of surprised in our post-show commentary via the text line. Because I said on the air yesterday, it's like, I'm not feeling it. I just don't think that's how the Titans would roll. But here they are. They've got him. I think if you take a look at the depth chart right now, I think we got a pretty good idea of the first 4 guys and how they're going to be utilized if they had a game on Sunday. But the 5th spot is sort of now that McMath is going on the IR, like who's your 5th guy?
Cody Hollister right now.
Well, he's a candidate. Or they could go with Dez.
He's being elevated.
You're right. Yeah, because you would have to put him in there because they have elevated him to the roster. But at the same time, they could just as easily put him back on the practice squad and elevate any of the guys who are currently on the practice squad, and that now includes Josh Gordon. So I think between now and next Friday or Saturday when they really make this call, does Josh Gordon move the needle enough in that room to say, let's give this guy a shot over Hollister? I don't know if it's going to happen that quick. A practice squad run could be 3 days. It could be 3 weeks. He may never get into a game, but
like Golden Tate never got into a game.
Yeah.
But I will say, I think John Robinson has done a good job of utilizing the new practice squad rules. The fact that you can have a veteran on the practice squad. They signed Adrian Peterson to the practice squad last year, ultimately ended up using him in some games when Derrick Henry went down and while they were trying to figure out what they wanted to do. Dontrell Hilliard was on the practice squad. They elevated him. He obviously earned a roster spot. I even think Deontay Foreman may have been at one point in time. But because of the rules, you can sign a veteran. Doesn't matter how long they played in the league. If Tom Brady got cut, Brady could sign to a practice squad. And he's been able to use that call-up and use it to his advantage. So I think it's a low-risk, high-reward signing by having him in practice, being able to evaluate what he can do, and if you feel like he can help your club, then you call him up.
I said this earlier in the show. I'm sticking by it. It sounds good. On September 1st, you can talk yourself into or out of anything. So can you talk yourself into Josh Gordon could be the 5th best receiver, and I might get 5 good games out of him, maybe just as a guy you spot and can stretch the defense? I think realistically, that's possible. Like if you think you're getting the guy that had 1,600 yards in 14 games and led the league when he was 22, I think those times are like way in the past. But could you get something close to what he was 2 or 3 years ago, right? When he still had a reasonable yards per catch average, 16, 17 yards. Remember, I think he played in the game, 2018 when the Patriots came in here, one of the high points of Marcus Mariota, and the Titans ripped the Patriots. I remember sitting right next to Hal Gill. I know exactly where I was. We were out in Anaheim, and Hal was shocked. That was 2018, wasn't it? Josh Gordon played that year for the Patriots, and he had 40 catches for 720 yards. Not a lot of catches, but he had 18 yards per catch. So if he could just, like we were saying earlier.
Was that regular season or are you talking about
the playoff? It was a regular season. Yeah. The 2019 season was the playoff year. Yeah. That was Tannehill, of course, by that time. This was a Mariota game, and it was Deion Lewis had the big game. Remember that? Was that 2018? Yeah. I feel like it was.
But didn't the Patriots won the Super Bowl, didn't they? In 18?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah.
And that's a good question. Did he play in the postseason at all? But Josh Gordon had his moments there. And that was at the height
the Rams. They beat the Rams.
That was at the height of him being sort of the butt of all the jokes. Hey, he can't stay on the field. How long is he going to last this time? Because he was reinstated and then suspended.
I think he was
more times than you could count.
I think he was more the blunt of all the jokes, but
Nice.
Thank you.
Nice.
He'll be here all
Chase
week.
has got jokes. Chase has got jokes. In fact, I remember being in Boston doing a show from one of the studios there when he was on that roster, and he was being talked about a lot because they were looking for receivers. But that's if we're talking 2018, that's 4 years ago. That's a long time ago in football years.
Oh,
right.
No doubt.
So what are we getting? What are we going to see? I don't know, but we do have to keep in mind that the Chiefs had a good long look at him. He was on the Chiefs last year,
32 yards,
and they lost Tyreek Hill. They had some spots, some openings, and he didn't figure into their plan. So keep your expectations low. And you never know what could happen. But they need a guy who can make a big play or two.
615-737-1025, 615-737-1025. Adam on our phone line, driven by WilsonCountyHonda.com, wants to weigh in on Josh Gordon. Adam, welcome in.
Hey, Jace, you know me, man. You know that I'm the biggest fanboy in the world. I love signing players who have big names. But for Josh Gordon, man, he's just a year too late. I would be the first guy to call you and go, he's awesome. We just need to give him a shot. But Julio burnt me out, man. Like, bad. And we signed Golden Tate. Did y'all remember we had him on our roster?
Yeah,
and he
I brought it up
never even
earlier.
played? Like, it's so goofy, man. And the same, like Randy Moss. Like, we can go through the years. Eric Moulds, the players that come here too late. And so I just decide that I can't get hyped up for that anymore. I don't even see him, making the roster. And then you see somebody like Khalif Raymond, who you've never even heard of, come in and ball out, in the role that he had. So I can't get on the Josh Gordon train, man. Just can't do it.
So you're keeping your expectations low.
I mean, he's on the practice squad.
Yeah, well, Khalif Raymond is an interesting parallel because Khalif Raymond, I think one day on the show we had a fun time just reading off how many times he'd been released by a team and re-signed to a practice squad and changing uniforms. It was a ton. And Josh Gordon, if you look at it the same way, they got mileage out of Khalif Raymond in that role. He could stretch the field and catch a long pass, and he did in some big games for them. If Josh Gordon could just be that, that's a plus. Forget about what either guy had done in the past. If Josh Gordon can come in at 6'3", 225, can still run well enough to get behind a defense and be a threat, that can help the team. Loosen up that box. That's what they need.
So would you reverse the A.J. Brown trade if you could go back and do that? 66.8%. It has ticked a little.
That has changed.
It's changed a little bit.
That's a movement.
That's no. Still a majority say no.
But it was 80-20.
It was.
Early.
33% say yes. Some of the comments on Twitter at 1025 The Game. Do you buy this? Tennessee Ed says, crazy part is we probably still would have gotten Burks. I think Burks could have been there at where was their original draft pick? 20 was it 16? Was it no? It was I can't remember.
Burks was 16.
Burks was 16,
but
the original pick that they ended up having that they traded, I can't remember where it was.
It was fairly low because they were the first seed in the playoffs. It was in the low,
but I think
high
Burks,
20s.
I think they probably could have gotten Burks there because, Traylon Burks was in a ton of mock drafts to the Titans, even with A.J. Brown.
You're saying if they kept their original pick, he might have still been sitting there. Maybe.
So
there's a lot of receivers picked in the first round.
Ty says, loved A.J., but I say no. Burks is going to be solid. A.J. is happy in Philly. Titans have more cap room for studs getting contracts over the next few years. It's all good. So, again, a vast majority of you saying no. We'll continue to look at that as the show goes on. But coming up next, it's going to be trivia time plus Willy's fantasy football questions of the day. So we will have that for you and your chance to win Blended Festival tickets. 615-737-1025. We'll give the trivia question coming up next. But first, Willy, tell us about Loan Pronto.
Let's talk Loan Pronto. They have got some good rates going right now. So homeowners and home buyers make sure you listen. Loan Pronto has excellent rates right now. 30-year fixed rates with an APR in the 4s, 15-year loans with an APR that starts with a 3. Our family's been working with Loan Pronto on our own deal right now. We're trying to take advantage of what's out there for homeowners if you're looking for ways to get cash and take advantage of the financial market right now. Right now, your home's value is way up, so if you've got the need for money to pay off bills, whether it's credit card bills or tuition money or car loans or other high-interest loans, this is the way to do it. You can get cash and do it quick, and I can tell you that it's a digital process that takes a lot of the paperwork out. It's a much more streamlined process than it used to be. And so Loan Pronto not only has that for their convenience, but they're going to get you the best rates. Loan Pronto's rates are down big time, and you can take advantage whether you're buying, refinancing, getting cash out, or even if you just closed not too long ago. So call Loan Pronto and find out more. 615-499-5780. That's 615-499-5780 or loanpronto.com. That's 615-499-5780. Equal housing lender, NMLS 166-1781, subject to lender approval.
ESPN Titans NFL Nation reporter Teron Davenport brings knowledge.
3 touchdowns. He was processing, getting rid of the ball quickly.
Passion.
Make no mistake about it. He absolutely has to hit the ground running.
And expertise on the two-tone blue and the NFL. Join TD every Monday at 11, Thursdays at 3, and Friday morning at 8 for all the latest on your favorite team. Teron Davenport is presented by Craneworks on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Family Leisure is having a come out and play sale.
That's right. Family Leisure is inviting you to come out and play.
Family Leisure has hundreds of pools in stock and on sale. DIY pools start at only $16.99. 24-foot pools are only $29.99 installed.
More than 100 spas in stock and incoming, starting at only $29.99.
Hundreds of sets of patios in stock and on sale.
The Sabre infrared grill in stock and on sale at only $11.99. Come out and play at both huge locations, Franklin and Antioch.
Family and fun come together.
At Cromwell Media, we take great pride in the tenure of our team. This month, big shout-outs go to 2 members of our sales team, Jeff Cole for 11 years and Matt Saggio for 6 years. Thanks, guys. Jared Cassidy, a part-time producer for 102.5, 106.3 The Game, has been a teammate for 3 years. Finally, audio engineer Ladarius Robinson and Tina Jackson in our corporate office are celebrating their first anniversaries. Want to be part of our success? Send us a note at together@cromwellmedia.com and tell us about yourself. We could be celebrating you next year.
Kick off week 1 with FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. Join today to get started with $150 in free bets guaranteed when you place your first $5 bet. Just sign up with promo code ROB to get in on the action. Then you can turn game day into payday all season long. I really like the Titans in week 1 against the Giants. The Giants continue to have injury problems in the preseason. So that's probably the game that I'm looking at, but you take it any way you want to take it. Play your way and bet on more than just the final score. Wager on everything from touchdowns to total yards to catches. You can even combine your bets for a chance at a bigger payout with a same-game parlay. So don't fumble your chance to get $150 in free bets. Win or lose with promo code ROB. Make every moment more with FanDuel, official sportsbook partner of the NFL. Must be 21 or older and present in Tennessee. First online real money wager only. $10 first deposit required. Bonus issued is non-withdrawable free bets that expire 14 days after receipt. Restrictions apply. See terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. Got a gambling problem? Call the Tennessee Red Line at 1-800-889-9789.
Robbie and Rex Road here on ESPN. Welcome into Chase, Willy, and D-Mace.
Somebody company is delivered. There's a new way to hear 102.5 The Game. Nashville's best sports talk on 106.3 FM. From downtown Nashville to Spring Hill on I-65 and to Murfreesboro on I-24. You now have 2 choices to hear our great sports programming. Get the extra point, no problem. And the Nashville Predators. Scores! Check out 106.3 now and save it as a preset.
Hey Nashville, this is David Poyle. You're listening to Nashville's best sports talk, 102.5 The Game.
Chase, Willy, and D-Mase, 102.5, 106.3 The Game. Don't stop till you get enough. Chase and Willy, Nick here with you today. D-Mase will be back in the saddle tomorrow. It is time every day at 1:30. We're going to do this. Moving forward, a trivia question. It can be about anything. Lately, it's been about the Titans. And you will have a chance to win a prize if you get the answer right. You just have to tell Nick Behind the Glass, the answer, and you can win a pair of 2-day passes to the Blended Festival at Bicentennial Mall State Park on Saturday, September the 10th. Willie, take it away.
Well, in light of the news that Derrick Henry is getting a $2 million raise, hey, everybody loves to get a raise, as the man said himself. Let's have a trivia question about Derrick Henry. Did you know that Derrick Henry's rookie year of 2016, he did not have a 100-yard game? Not one.
That doesn't surprise me because DeMarco Murray had such a great year.
Yep, but he did not have one. Didn't break a long run to get 100, anything like that. His first 100-yard game of his career came in year 2. Who was it against? Who was Derrick Henry's first 100-yard game against? It was his second year in the league, 2017. 615-737-1025.
I think I know the answer.
615-737-1025. Second year, Derrick Henry's first ever 100-yard game.
All right.
He only had 2 100-yard games his entire second year. How about that?
Again, I mean, he wasn't the top back. He was – now, he played more his second year than he did his first, but – so that's not that surprising at all. Update from Adam Schefter. I don't know if you saw this, Willie, but Baltimore, a significant injury for the Ravens. Their mascot, Poe, is out for the year.
So what kind of cap situation we talking there where he's going on IR?
He's going on IR.
Is there an injury settlement?
I don't know. He said, as Schefter says, the Ravens mascot Poe suffered a season-ending injury during Saturday's preseason game versus Washington. Sources tell ESPN Poe will be placed on injured reserve. The team is expected to hold tryouts to find a new mascot while Poe rehabs. Get well, Poe.
Okay, so
I've never seen a mascot carted off the field, but that actually happened.
I have seen one. It happened to the Mariner Moose back in the day. He was on like the equivalent of water skis. I guess it was like roller skis.
Oh,
and he was being pulled by the three-wheeler, the John Deere or something like that, in Seattle in the Kingdome. And he wiped out, man, and it was – you could find it on YouTube, I think. It was a spectacular injury.
I've heard
not in a good way.
I've heard some interesting mascot stories about a moose from somebody we know.
A moose or a bison?
A moose.
A moose?
Yes.
Yes, I guess. Yes. Okay. It's a lot of...
Now you know what I'm talking about.
Yes. Ooh, plenty of good stories about mascots through the years.
Some we can tell, some we can't.
Yep, that one is not PG-13.
No. Cole is the winner, so we have the answer. Was it Detroit?
Nope.
Okay.
Year 2, week 6.
Well, he's been so good against
home game.
Jacksonville.
Nope.
Okay, who is it?
Indianapolis Colts.
Ah, okay.
Titans win 36-22. October 16th, 2017. Derrick Henry had never had a 100-yard game until then. In fact, you know, this one really was surprising to me. The Titans beat Jacoby Brissett and the Colts that day. Marcus Mariota threw for 300 yards, and Henry had a 72-yard run that, provided the bulk of the 131 yards he had. So it took him a long time. There was a lot of discussions on our show about whether Derrick Henry would ever really amount to anything as a Heisman Trophy guy. But even by the end of the year, he only had 2 100-yard games. He had just over 700 yards. He was still sharing time, even in the second year, with DeMarco Murray, who wasn't quite as good the second year he was with the Titans as he was the first year. But then he had the big game against the Chiefs in the playoffs. Remember, he ran wild when they won at Arrowhead and came from behind. That was probably his greatest game as a Titan to that point. He had never really played at that level.
That was when he took the spot pretty much. Like he solidified it, I guess I should say.
And I guess it was sort of, you could see it happening, but that was a wow. Hey, could this be something? And then of course, the following year, it didn't happen overnight. There were still some struggles, and then towards the end of the year, boom.
And that was it.
That's
for
when,
DeMarco
remember,
Murray.
he had that December where it went nuts. He went to new level, and they were like, okay, we got something.
Because what did he do? He talked to Eddie.
He talked to Eddie.
He had that conversation with Eddie.
well, Eddie, we're going to have a conversation with Eddie tomorrow.
We are, 1 o'clock. He'll join us every Friday. The Eddie George Show will debut on Monday at 6, so looking forward to that from 6 and Peabody. You can go check that out. Jonathan Hutton will be his co-host. But do you have some fantasy questions for us today?
I do.
All right, hit us.
I want to ask you guys about a possible flyer. I'm not sure. It just depends on how deep your league is going to be. But I was listening to the hype on this, and I got to say, I kind of bought in. What do you guys think of Josh Palmer, the former Tennessee Vol, from the great province of Ontario, as a sleeper pick late for the Chargers, with the idea that he's maybe the third guy? He had a decent year last year, kind of on the radar, but could he take a big step forward? Is he worth a flyer in an offense that we think is going to cook, right? Even though they don't have Jared Cook anymore. That offense should light it up one way or the other.
353 yards, 4 touchdowns last year. Look, if he's there in the late rounds,
the Good Morning Football show, they like him as a breakout guy.
As the third guy behind Keenan Allen and
Mike Williams. Yeah, they think that he could really flourish in that spot. I don't think it's a crazy idea. Could he get 50 catches and be worth putting in your league as your flex guy?
I would, yeah. Late rounds, I'd do it.
This is another thing. We talked earlier how fascinated I am with how everybody is picking the Colts. I'm also fascinated how much faith a lot of the prognosticators have in the Chargers, despite all of the floundering that franchise has had, especially recently. A lot of people make the case that is one of the 5 best rosters in football, the Chargers. And yet they haven't done anything the last few years. There's not a lot of built-up toughness, winning culture, all of that stuff. But everybody thinks that they're a team that could win the Super Bowl.
I mean,
talented enough to do it. And they play in a brutal division.
They do, but I mean, you could take all 4 teams in that division and shake them up right now and pick any of them out.
All right, Nick, did Josh Palmer get picked in your draft?
No, he did not get picked. I actually picked up Mike Williams, but I do kind of think that's a smart pick. If he's going to be their wideout 3, and let's say those guys go down, I'd go with him. He sounds pretty solid.
Next guy I wanted to bring up to is another wide receiver, Rashad Bateman for the Ravens. Now, this is the discussion around him as a potential breakout wide receiver. That the Ravens are going to be healthier. They're going to be better. They can't have as much go wrong. But what has been their bread and butter? It has been throw to the tight ends, right?
Sure.
But they have maybe a little different offense this year. They got a different defensive coordinator. The sense is that they want to utilize wide receivers more than they did before, even though they have moved on from Hollywood Brown. So Rashad Bateman is the guy that they think could be the huge beneficiary of wanting to throw outside a little bit more. He's good enough to do it. What do we think of him as a breakout guy? And I'm going to throw it to Nick here in a second and ask, did he get picked in your fantasy draft? Because there's not a lot of faith in Ravens. Because I hear Derek preaching all the time. The Ravens have not done right by Lamar Jackson with wide receivers. But so people think this guy could be really good.
I mean, yeah. I don't really know either way. I mean, I think these are kind of too similar.
But I can tell your first thought is a wide receiver for the Ravens?
Yeah.
Am I really going to jump in on that?
I'd probably say I'd be more inclined on Palmer. So probably no.
All right. Nick, any thoughts on Rashad Bateman? We're all just trying to get our arms around this. His average draft position right now is about 81. So he's ranked 21st among wide receivers. So there's quite a bit of belief in the various mock drafts out there that he is legit. Out of Minnesota.
What do you think?
Well,
any thoughts, Nick?
Yeah, Ian Safar drafted him. I think that's pretty smart to pick him up. If they're going to utilize more wideouts, I mean, why not go? I think he's a pretty smart. Here's the thing. I would pick him over Palmer first, honestly. I really would.
Well, there's no question he's going in most drafts. Palmer is more of a late round guy, but Bateman, I think if you're in a league that has got a lot of what I would say casual fans that are much more likely to pick the guy they know as opposed to a name like Bateman, where you got to do your homework a little bit to sort of see where he's fitting, you might be able to get him as a steal late.
Yeah, and
especially if it's a mindset. Because if I'm a casual fan, I'm saying Ravens. Every time I see them throw, first of all, I know Lamar Jackson is going to get a certain amount on the ground. He's going to use his tight ends. Why would I be looking at a Ravens wide receiver? But Bateman is turning some heads.
Yeah, well, and that's where some of the best drafts take place, is when you can find those diamonds in the rough that you take a flyer on and they end up helping you out a lot. So there you go. Our fantasy football and trivia question. I wish I could talk today. I'm struggling. Trivia question today. Coming up next, we'll reset some of the big Titans news. Stillman and Company coming up at the top of the hour here on 102.5, 106.3 The Game.
Want the latest on college football and Nashville sports?
He looks like 1,000 MAC level quarterbacks I've seen in a college game.
Join Outkick 360's Chad Withrow every Friday at 5 with Stillman and Company.
The coaching staff kept him and got rid of the other guys.
He'll bring opinions and charisma for a full half hour every week.
If he's so great in the locker room, then give him a coaching gig.
Chad Withrow is presented by Regal Realty Group on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
FanDuel wants you to be ready for game day when college football really kicks off this week. Joe Rexford here to let you know, yes, it is week 1. Week 0 was fun, but week 1 is even better. And right now, new customers can get $150 in free bets guaranteed for week 1. Just place a $5 bet, and you can get $150 in free bets, win or lose. Of course, you can do a same-game parlay. You got a lot of odds boosts and live betting. You can go national championship futures. Hey, how about Alabama? I know the odds aren't great there. They are widely expected to win it, but you know what? That's probably the right way to go. If you've been thinking about joining FanDuel, now's the perfect time to give it a shot. It's easy, it's safe, it's fun. You get paid fast. See for yourself why FanDuel's America's #1 sportsbook. Download the app, sign up with the promo code Joe102. $5 bet, $150 in free bets guaranteed to kick off the college football season. Again, promo code Joe102. You must be 21 or older and present in Tennessee. First online real money wager only. $10 first deposit. Bonus issued is now withdrawable free bets that expire 14 days after receipt. Restrictions apply. See terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. Gambling problem? Call the Tennessee Red Line 800-889-9789.
From the Fox 17 News Code Red Weather Center.
I'm Fox 17 Code Red meteorologist Greg Bobus. Forecast for today, very comfortable, very similar to your Wednesday. High temperatures upper 80s to right near 90 degrees, low humidity, and no rain chances for today. A few showers and storms late in the day for your Friday.
Brought to you by Hiller Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Electrical.
Call the Happy Face Truck today.
Attention sports fans. Your favorite sportsbook, BetUS.com, is back for our 28th year of NFL action. With the industry's biggest sign-up bonus of up to 200%, BetUS offers our members the opportunity to cash in on all your favorite leagues, including NFL, NBA, MLB, and more. We've also got hundreds of new casino games, including the coolest European slots, and our live dealers are waiting for you at the tables. You need a sportsbook with integrity, longevity, and you need to know you're gonna get paid. You need a sportsbook that offers everything, including live betting, MMA, golf, horses, esports, and all kinds of crazy bets. Call today at 1-800-79-BET-US. That's 1-800-79-BET-US, and they will walk you through setting up an account. Nobody in the industry gives better bonuses than BetUS. Join now. Mention BetUS 2022, and you can get up to 200% in bonuses on your first deposit. Nobody beats that. Head to BetUS.com and join today. That's BetUS, where the game begins.
Ad paid for by USA Veteran Law Group. Attention Marines, if you or a loved one lived or worked at Camp Lejeune for more than 30 days between 1953 and 1988, you were exposed to drinking water contaminated with benzene and other highly carcinogenic chemicals, causing those exposed to develop devastating health conditions. You may qualify for significant compensation if you have been diagnosed with non-Hodgkin's lymphoma, bladder, kidney, or liver cancer, or other serious health conditions. Get justice. Call 844-982-0001 or visit usaveteranlawgroup.com.
Jared Stillman.
If you get 3 games where he doesn't turn the ball over, you're going to the Super Bowl.
Caroline Fenton.
I don't know if he would be open to joining another team.
Stillman and Company. Afternoons from 2 to 6.
Presented by TriStar Moving.
On Nashville's best sports talk.
ESPN.
102.5 and 106.3 The Game. And on the Game Nashville app. This is Chase, Willy, and D-Mase on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game. And on the Game Nashville app.
Chase, Willy, and D-Mase, 102.5, 106.3 The Game. Chase McKay, Willy Donick with you. Getting ready for college football tonight. We're talking about some Titans and NFL stuff. If you missed it, Russell Wilson agrees to a 5-year contract extension with the Denver Broncos. We talked to Joel Corey about that earlier today. $245 million, $165 guaranteed. So the total for the next 7 seasons is $296 million. So they lock in Russell Wilson. Looks like if all goes to plan, he'll finish his career as a Denver Bronco. As they're a team that I think a lot, look, that division is wide open going into the season. Kansas City, we obviously know what they are. I believe the Raiders are going to be better, getting Devontae Adams. The Chargers are the sexy pick by a lot of people with Justin Herbert, and then now the Broncos adding Russell Wilson. So that division should be fun to watch.
Somebody is going to fall short of expectations because I think all 4 of those teams feel like they could have good years. And we were like kicking around the math yesterday. Mm-hmm. There is a scenario, I guess, where you could have all 4 teams make it, but in a deep AFC, it seems very unlikely. So only the strong survive there. So can the Broncos, can they compete? And can they win big with Russell Wilson? All they have invested in him. It's a really big-time move, putting all the chips in there. Yeah, so that's an interesting move. The Titans are signing Josh Gordon to the practice squad. Also, Derrick Henry getting a $2 million raise as they basically moved $2 million from next year to this year. So those are a couple of moves by the Titans as they continue to get their roster all solidified before next week, and they take on the New York Giants. Some news, too, out of the Central Division in the NHL, the Predators division. I thought this was intriguing, but the Dallas Stars have signed Jake Ottinger to a 3-year contract worth $12 million, so about $4 million per. And as I look at it, I was very curious what they were going to do. I didn't know if they were going to go for a little more term there. Because he was an RFA, right? He was an RFA, and so he will still be an RFA at the end of the contract. And so $4 million is pretty good. But he really played well down the stretch for them, and he had an excellent series against the Calgary Flames in the playoffs. He's awfully young, but he was a first-round pick, always been a high-rated player. He's got all of the makings of a franchise goalie. So $4 million per year. I'm curious to see what some people think about that. I thought they might go longer, but he's still restricted at the end of it, so Dallas can then make an assessment at that point. But if he continues along the track he's on, that's going to be a huge payday for him the next go-round because he's still fairly young. It'll be something to watch, tracking him and UC Saros over the next few years. Goalies sort of entering into their prime that are fairly young that play in the same division. The other big one that the Stars have to sign is Jason Robertson, who's going to be very expensive for sure, and he deserves it. He's been a guy that has taken over as their best player. Yeah, I mean, and he's one you have no choice. You have to get. You got to have him. You're going to have to pay him. But how do you do it? Do you do the bridge, or do you go for the 8-year max and just pay big like they did with Miro Heiskanen, which I'm sure his agent is probably looking at and say, look, you did this with Miro Heiskanen. My guy's around the same age. He's just as important. Let's get the checkbook out. It might be the best move. I mean, if you're Jim Nill, you just have to do it. That there are just certain players that are going to be worth it, and you just have to go for it. Yep. And there's pressure on Jim Nill, just like there's pressure here. they went to the Cup final. They haven't. They missed the playoffs the next year and then lost in the first round last year. They've been kind of hit or miss since Jim Nill has been there.
Sure.
They've got a lot of good things going, but how good? I mean, and for the Predators, when you really look at the big picture, they've got to be better than the Dallas Stars. For things to go the way they want to.
And right now, I would say they are.
They've been pretty much dead even with the Stars the last 2 years, and they have been able to beat them. Since they lost to the Stars in the playoffs in 2019, and then they got bullied by them in the Winter Classic in the Cotton Bowl. That's one of the things that they've really done is target how do we be able to combat the Stars, and they've done pretty well against the Stars the last couple of years head to head. They finished ahead of them to get to the playoffs in 2020, and then last year, of course, they fell behind the Stars on the last day in that bizarre last day of the season.
But the Stars bringing in Pete DeBoer is interesting.
Yes,
I think that is a very interesting move to bring him in. Don't necessarily maybe like him, but I think he's a good coach.
I think that's a fair assessment, and he's won in a lot of places. He's won where he's been.
He, to me, has a little bit of the Peter Laviolette persona of tough coach, but he can win. But it's a short window,
and then kind of law of diminishing returns a little bit.
Yeah,
it gets stale.
Yeah,
and then he goes to the next place and wins,
and wins. And
yeah,
that's what he does. And look, you and I both had.
You can make a living that way.
We had a great relationship with Peter Laviolette. It's always good to see him. I saw him when he came back through. Got to talk to him for a few minutes, but you know what kind of coach he is. He's a tough one.
Yeah,
he expects a lot of his players,
and he's had a lot.
And
I
think
success.
DeBoer is maybe a little more to the other extreme. To the next extreme, I should say, with that. So Ottinger getting a new deal with Dallas, but I think the big news with Derrick Henry, that is intriguing because to me, Derrick Henry controls his own destiny. If he gets back to form and has a Derrick Henry-like year, he's getting a new contract next offseason. And the Titans won't have a choice.
I'm looking forward to seeing how everybody around here and nationally interprets this move. We had to sort of interpret and analyze this in real time. My real-time assessment is this is just a great gesture. They had some extra money. It goes back to the mini camp when he said everybody loves a raise. It's like they couldn't commit to anything past this year, but what they could do was sort of sweeten the pot and say, I want you to feel good about how much we appreciate you, how much you've done for the franchise, and we want you to feel good going into this year. Because whether they did this or not, they were going to have to address his contract one way or the other next year. They can still do that. They have plenty of flexibility with him and Tannehill. But this year, they wanted him feeling 100% committed to and appreciated. That's my interpretation.
I agree.
I'm curious what other people think.
I agree. And it kind of makes you wonder, all right, so is Jeffrey Simmons next? Because Jeffrey Simmons falls in that category. Jeffrey Simmons has done everything the right way since he's been here. He got drafted, and, of course, the stuff at Mississippi State early on when he was young came up. And there's been nothing of the sort since here. He's been a consummate pro. He's been a great teammate. He's done the right thing. He's been in training camp. He deserves a new contract. Does he get it? And Joel Corey said earlier he thinks it'll be next offseason, but I think he'll get it.
Oh, he's going to get it eventually, whether it's this year or next year.
With the Titans.
Oh, yeah. I don't think you just cannot let a guy like that go.
No.
But what's the strategy? Like, what's his value going to be next year as opposed to where it is this year? These are all the things we've kicked around there. So, hey, they could up and announce this later today that they've done it with Jeffrey Simmons behind the scenes. You never know.
Things happen in threes. They've done two things today, so you never know. You never know what's going to.
Stay tuned.
Yep. Stillman and Company will have all the reaction on the Henry deal and also Josh Gordon being signed to the Titans practice squad. Stick around. That is coming up next. We'll be back at it 10 o'clock tomorrow. D-Mase back in the fold. Eddie George at 1 o'clock. But Stillman and Company is next. 102.5, 106.3, The Game.